Every time. I don't know what the deal is with this goddamn software. It should unmute me by itself, and then I have to unmute me. Oh, that's why I pay them. That's why I pay them. Well, we're rolling in, and it's Friday night. It's Good Friday. And there's a lot of sacrifice going on in the world, isn't there? Of the white race, of Western kind, of Westmen. And apparently the apostles have shown up and will continue to show up in the next couple of minutes. We are the ones who are going to reclaim the destiny of Western kind. It's not going to be I guess, an army of folks of love, more like a platoon. But I don't even know. I mean, I'm just like, should I go live? I really feel for this guy, Bob Lee. And one statement of his, I know there are all kinds of conspiracy theories. Every time you turn your head, there's another conspiracy theory. And that does its utmost best to redirect you, or to direct you away from all that is real, that perfectly explains your environment, no matter where you are in Western civilization, and therefore enables you to think clearly about the kind of steps you have to take or heed from others, i.e. like me, so that we can go the direction that we have to go to recapture our destiny. But there's one statement he made, and it's on one piece of video that I'll share with you, that got my attention. I haven't done deep research on this guy. Maybe some of you all have. And you can inform me. Tell me where I am going wrong, where I don't have the right information. How's everybody doing on Friday night? Good Friday night. And it looks like we have Entropy is up and running as it should. So if you'd like to make a comment to yours truly, you can put it in the question widget over there. A question, you can put it there. And it won't disappear. It won't scroll off. Only you or I can delete it. There is also, of course, on Entropy, the means to financially gift yours truly. And I read all financial gifts. We are, let me move some of these screens. My monitors are full. I've been busy. We are, of course, on D Live. And let me move these things over. You may financially gift in their cryptocurrency over there on D Live. You can also financially gift. What is this? I don't know what that means. Go away. Odyssey is up and running. You can financially gift there in their cryptocurrency or in cash dollars. So there as well, I will read the financial gifts. And then finally, and most pertinent this evening, is Cash App is up and running. You may financially gift there. And tonight, every financial gift on Cash App is in the name of Bob Lee, who was stabbed to death. He's the creator of Cash App. And so everyone is in his name to remember him and to remember his family. There are some opinions about was his family going well or not going well, or I don't know. But 2 little girls are left behind, 2 children are left behind, because this genius, was he a white man? He appears to be white to me. Is he white? I mean, I just, you're going to have these crutch cult come in behind and say that he's either Jewish, if that will serve their villainy role playing, or white, if that will serve their villainy role playing. It just depends. The one comment that he made that I think is really relevant is that he said we still have to find a means to enable people who have been debanked to bank. Maybe I heard that right, maybe I didn't. But that would be interesting, that if this genius tech tycoon guru is trying to find a way for people to be able to bank who have been debanked, that he ends up dead. That's just interesting. That he's in a really nice part of San Francisco and he ends up being dead. So, and I know that the reality is that it's not just Rincon Hill in San Francisco, where it's nice and crime is proliferating and spreading there. And that, of course, absolutely could be what happened here. But so even the safe areas, and we talked about that for so many years now, even your safe areas. But nonetheless, it's a strange that the guy that's working on enabling those who have been debanked to be able to bank again, that he ends up being stabbed to death. Then he ends up going to the hospital and dying of his injuries, which of course could be totally legitimate and it could not be legitimate. It just, we can't know. And there's no doing, there's no substance to coming to a conclusion about what you imagine happened or who you imagine is behind it. That's not the doing. The doing is to, go to the world, to mention that this happened and to use the concepts that redeem our people. I see the great Cool Papa J Magic is here, says Happy Easter. And the great Franklin and Lavish is here. Celine is here. Great to see you as well, sister. Promethean Kitchen. That's the only kind of kitchen I like. In fact, I'm hungry. Last night, I'd made a steak in a crock pot, and I ate half of it, and it was not spectacular. It could have been better. And I had dinner was not great. Dinner, I had banana and sausage and protein shake and water. So I'm already starving, and I've been working on, as soon as I got done with that, wolfing that down as quickly as possible, I immediately started working on the audiobook for It's a Comedy, Damn It, which is, in a way, it's fun because I get to go back, and that was the whole writing of that book was a lot of fun. In a way, it's fun because I go back and I have to figure out, how am I going to do the voice? How do I want Lucifer to sound? How do I want Roth to sound? The two main characters in this story. And you can find that book at nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. And if you acquire it from there, I sign it. And you can also find it over on Amazon, of course. And if you have already acquired it from Amazon, or you do, please write a wonderful review, one that you would imagine would inspire you to purchase the book. We need to make me financially independent so that we don't have to continue to wonder if a investor will ever show up, because I'm definitely not going to hold my breath. There's no fetish to be served here. So, but I'm working on it, and I think it's, it's fun to go over the lines in the book and then find ways to read them that are pack the most punch, the comedic punch. That's fun. The tough part is that I have to do all of the recording in that little tent sound room that I made in the basement. And then I have to come all the way up here to do the editing on it. And then when I find things that are not copacetic, something I want to improve, I've got to go all the way down. And I got to try to record again. And then you got to try to get the exact same like cadence and pitch, and or it is way off, because I'm not just talking like I am now, right? I'm varying the volume, varying cadence, varying pitch, all of that to make it interesting. And once that's up, I hope that once that's available, I hope that we'll get a lot of people interested in that audiobook. And I don't know how much they will sell it for. I don't get to decide. But what's everybody else doing? Masumik, hello to you. Just got Go Free a few days ago. Fantastic. It's a workbook, so make sure you write in it. Make sure you use it. Make sure it looks used. So that's fantastic. Stick with us, and you're not going to believe, it's going to be remarkable how good you feel as you begin to liberate yourself from the mean pathogens that the anti-whites have sullied us with. Harold is here. Great to see you. Nancy Drew, happy Easter to you, good sister. Victorian Time Traveler is here. Wonderful to see you. Kingdom of Vinland. Great to see you, brother. Foster, hello and welcome, welcome. Baker, welcome, Baker. House of Wonders is here. Hello. World Conqueror, welcome. Hello to you. Good to see you. JK160, great to see you. Happy Easter. Sam is here. Hello and welcome. Pear Lady is here. Was he an athlete? Pear Lady, was Bob Lee an athlete in his younger years? How often? I mean, this has been happening across the West forever. We see these wonderful people, these wonderful white people. I got to tell you though, when I hear this, it kind of, we see good white people and brothers and sisters of ours, and it's correct to say that when we see one of these wonderful people get cut down by the savagery of anti-whitism, it's legitimate to say that, wow, who knows what that person would have ended up doing in this world? Who knows what they would have ended up achieving, what they would have done for the totality of society? And indeed, Bob Lee had already done wonderful things for society. But in saying that, I think we're in the right place when we're talking about him as a brother. Like, this is your actual brother. So this is something that's very painful. It should be very painful for you. This absolutely should not be cause for speculating about the murderer being non-white and then slandering non-white people. If you are wont to do that, if you are inclined to do that, or even if you have done that, you're demonstrating an illness. That illness is called radical individualism. So instead, you want to condemn the thing in the world, or one of the things in the world that you think makes your life more difficult or undermines your enjoyment of life. And you think, as a radical individualist, that if you just move that aside and you can get everybody to agree with you that that's a problem, it can be moved aside and you can live a radical individualistic life to its best. So these are our brothers and sisters being cut down. And who knows exactly what happened in this case, whether it's because he was helping. I mean, it's always these strange things that seem to happen to those who get in the way of an anti-white mafia. Anti-whites are able to undermine those who either consciously or unconsciously undermine or resist or push back against, who combat anti-whitism. They're able to undermine us by doing things like censoring us into silence. That is working. So that no one can hear us, which of course is to deny us freedom of speech, me freedom of speech, and you freedom of speech, because I've explained this many times. And the only time I've ever heard in my life anybody explain this properly was, and he didn't even, or he go the direction, he didn't even do it as good as I in describing it, but it was that law professor Dershowitz just a couple of days ago. This is not, I've been around, when I worked on DC, I was surrounded by top lawyers, and they all talk about freedom of speech, and none of them talk about the right to hear, or as I put it, the right to trade in ideas. That's what that's what freedom of speech is. The right to trade in ideas, whether you can hear them, you're speaking them, you're writing them, or you're reading them. And it seems to me that those anti-whites who are in power, they know this about the First Amendment, but then they go out to the public to talk about the First Amendment. They talk all about just your speech, whether or not you can speak. Sometimes about whether or not you can write. But they don't focus on, especially when it comes to us, they don't focus on the fact that you are being denied your constitutional right, First Amendment, when I'm silenced and you want to hear me, or you want to read what I've written. And WG Paradigm is here. Great to see you, brother. Time Traveler, is that a new emoji? Pants is here. Says he's fasting. I'm not fasting. I'm eating, but I just haven't eaten in a number of hours. I'm feeling very hungry. Clutch is here. Hello and welcome. So why don't we go ahead, and we're also going to take a look at comments, y'all's comments from previous streams that we've set aside. NWG Paradigm says he's eating fast. Does that count? Kirk says, can you comment on Sven Longshanks' arrest for hate speech? Now, we would never use, going free, we would never use that term, because the anti-whites created that concept for us to use to undermine our defense. And I spoke to it, what was it, folks, on Sunday? But I can say again that I spent time with Sven when I went over to the UK, about a full day. And then he's been on streams with me. He's a nice guy. And I never heard him. He didn't say anything negative about any other group of people while I was with him and while I've been with him, either in person or on these interviews, and, pre-interview, post-interview, where we're chatting and everything. And when we send messages back and forth to set up conversations, interviews. So I even wrote a letter for him to go to the judge as an American who had visited the UK and spent some time with Sven, and that he never said anything. I attested to the fact that he never said anything negative about any other group of people. Now, apparently, the claim is that he had said negative things about other groups of people in the past. And whether you believe that those claims to be real or false is totally immaterial. We call that, when you focus on other groups of mankind, we call that being white negative, because it doesn't benefit white people one iota. And for God's sake, so many generations have demonstrated that. So many, I mean, we just had Kanye West get obliterated, and others associated with that also obliterated. So it doesn't do anything for our people. So was he focusing negatively on other groups of mankind? I don't know. I haven't seen the evidence. And I don't know where the law is in the United Kingdom, but the law really doesn't matter, because you have in the West, all of the West, the anti-white narrative. And the anti-white narrative communicates an anti-white morality. And a moral imperative overrides laws, codes, etc. So they'll dilate the law, they'll rewrite law, judges will legislate from the bench, and all that's illegal. That doesn't matter because it is the morality of the day. That's why the Go Free method, we have a moral imperative that undermines what the anti-whites have created for the recapture of our destiny, for love, hope, and redemption. That's why we do it. So I wish I would, Sven Longshanks, have found me at least, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when he supposedly or actually did create content or memes or whatever it was that focused negatively on other groups of man. Because if he had, he wouldn't be going to jail. If he had, his life wouldn't be ruined by dealing with all of the legal wranglings. I want him and our other brothers and sisters out there who care about Western kind to have good lives, the best that they possibly can, to create strong foundations, and to serve white well-being for the totality of their lives. This course of action, where you're focused negatively on other people, always harms the white race. In every case. The evidence is so abundant that it is stunning that I have to stand against the tide of people saying the opposite when I have mountains and mountains of evidence, and it's all around everybody that prove what I'm saying. So I feel really bad for Sven. And, I like him. He seemed like a sweet man. He's a good guy from my interactions. I never saw anything that they're claiming in these courts, and I haven't been following and up close with what's happening. I feel really bad that has gone these years, I guess it's been, of political wranglings. This is lawfare, and in lawfare, the time that you get in prison or the fines that you're forced to pay, that's almost like an afterthought. The whole purpose of lawfare is to consume your life in misery, your time, your energy, the money you work for, etc. It's just to consume and eat it all and make it miserable. And so I feel bad that he's had to go through that. And I can only hope, like the rest of you, that whatever they decide to dish out to him, it is the least of the punishment that I guess is allowable for whatever he's specifically convicted of. But it's no use. I mean, just to speak straight to this as an adult, there's no use in saying it's not fair that they're allowed to punish speech. It's not fair that anti-whites are allowed to do X, Y, or Z. It just is. It's not fair that we have to die. At some point, we're all going to die. Bob Lee, very recently. But it just is what is. So we have to assess our world. We have to maintain our objective, and it has to be noble. It has to be glorious for the spirit of the West, or our people won't flock to it. And it's not glorious to say negative things about other people. It's simply an ugly thing to do. It turns people away. It's playing the villain in the anti-white narrative. So you're proving what they tell people. So it has to be glorious, and then you've got to just resolutely move toward that glorious goal. And we can only hope that by way of our efforts that are working here, the evidence here is that the Go Free method works, that we reach enough people in time, that it spreads quickly enough in time, and it's spreading, and we are reaching. We've done more than all of the other nationalist groups and everything all put together over the past several generations. None of them have ever, that's not hyperbole, none of them have ever changed the language being spoken societally. None of them have ever forced our victimizers to use language of our choosing. We do that here. None of them ever have gotten a major media institution, iHeartMedia, to change the imagery they were using in a story like we did here. None of them ever anywhere have ever gotten teachers and principals to agree that educational curricula at the school was anti-white, called anti-white, and then change that curricula. We are the only ones. It is an absolute curse that we have these successes after successes after successes, and our brothers and sisters out there are just like shrug their shoulders, who are white sympathetic folk. They just shrug their shoulders, and that these potential financiers are busy looking for a fetish to fund. It's the curse. It's the curse of, I don't know, the white race. It's the curse of where we are. It's the curse of the sickness that the white race has. So all we can do is hope that it comes out for the best for him, the least punishment that they give out. Let's see what you are. The Shade Master is here. Hello. I worked out yesterday. And you know what's good about the gym now is that a lot of these New Year's resolution people are disappearing. I love that. But I still saw this one guy. I'm not kidding you. He was on one of the, like, back in the day, this all equipment was like Nautilus that was like this, but a weight stacked leg press. And he was watching TV on his phone as he was doing, you know, an amount of weight that he probably could have done at home with pillows or pushing his dog away from him or something. But they've started to dry up, and that I love. Go home, folks. Tom says shadow bans, YouTube shadow bans you hard. Yeah, they do, which is why we have to be the algorithm. Like, you have to develop circles of influence, Facebook, Minds, and everything. And your mom will like me unless she's radically anti-white. Your wife will like me unless she's radically anti-white. So share in your circles that we're live. Grab the URL, hop over to your Facebook or Minds or Gab or whatever it is, and say, hey, No White Guilt is live. It's the best thing. It's the only thing. It's genuinely the only thing. You've actually come to the place where people have room to brag. But here we are. I turned on this stream the other day. Well, and now it's post. I'm just going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you who it is, because that would be. Let me just see. Is it still up? It might still be up. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. This is a stream that was roughly 2 days ago. And it has in the 20s of thousands of views. And I had not listened to anything. I listened to a little over half an hour of it while I was working out, and really working out, like a real workout. And it was some of the most cringy, most boring garbage. And it's got 25 in the 20s, mid-20s, thousands of views on it. Something that boring. I just genuinely, like, I'm not looking for reasons, right? I mean, genuinely, objectively, not subjectively, torturous. But tons of folks showing up. And I'm guessing also, you know, like YT is channeling people to this soporific garbage so that they'll watch and learn and to speak in ways that are harmful to themselves. white folks. So let's see if we can find this video. Maybe it's this one. All right, let's see if we can find it here. We have a cozy group tonight, as is always the case. And we even alerted people 30 minutes ahead of time that we were going to be going live. Let's see, what do we got here? Is that it? Yeah, let's go ahead and see that. All right. We're going to have a little watch of this to give us some of the stories. ABC News. Tech exec Bob Lee tried getting help after being stabbed, video shows. Is the volume up? Yeah, let's see.
Chilling surveillance video could be a key piece of evidence.
Can y'all hear that all right? Is it loud enough? Sam says, beautiful blue polo, brother. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Got to maintain this color on it. Got to make sure I don't wash it harshly, cause it to fade. Summer Lee is here. Welcome, sister. Great to see you. Yender is here. Says, soon we'll be on beans if the government keeps printing money. I think something, maybe I'll just speak to that very briefly, that the money, United States currency, is backed up with death. And I've said that before. So a lot of people talk about monetary system and global economics, and they imagine, as in most cases, that there is some judge of the, some judge that maintains the rules. And that they sit down, I watch it, over the years, I've been a part of some of these conversations. And they talk about this currency versus that currency, and then this trend versus that trend, and then they look at historic trends and all of this sort of stuff. The bottom line is that the United States dollar is backed up by death. The people in charge, the anti-white oligarchs, are not going to say, oh, gosh, you're not going to value our currency anymore, and so therefore it doesn't have any value. And are you joking? Are you really? You think that's what they'll do? They will kill everyone they have to maintain the power. And they will burn down dollars where they need to, and they will print them where they need to. If there is any collapse, it'll be because they want one, not because the game got away from them. Like, to whom? To whom? To who will the game? To whom? Well, they printed too much money and now it doesn't have any value. They will still kill you. They can still say to other countries of the world, we will kill everybody there. Anyhow. All right. Harold is here. Hello to you. Audio sounds good on the headphones. If you bump it up just a tiny bit, it wouldn't hurt, though. All right. I think we bumped it up as far as it'll go. Let's find out about Bob Lee.
TheDailyMail.com, which obtained CCTV, says after tech executive Bob Lee was stabbed multiple times, he appears to try and wave down a passing car for help before the motorist drives away.
Now, this was one of the things that really just... Why would a motorist, if somebody comes up to you and they look normal, right? He looks like a total normal guy. He's clean cut. He's dressed nicely, and they come up to you and he speaks normally, right? He's not like, what up, what up, what up? You know, he comes up to you and he's like, I've been stabbed. Please help. Who would drive away from that? This is because of anti-whitism. His white life, like mine, like yours, like the people you love, has been so devalued across the West that people would just drive away. You know, this happens all the time in our once great country of South Africa, right? It happens increasingly across the rest of the West because the lives of white people have been devalued. They don't matter in the anti-white narrative. So a white guy coming up to you, there's no excuse for that. In fact, that's against the law. It's against the law if someone is in need of help and you're just like, screw it. But what else does that? It speaks to something deeper than law. Because why do things get manifested in law? They get manifested in law, not every time because you have corruption. But initially, they're manifested into law because it is the will, the biospiritual will of the people. Like for a long time, we used to hear about, and maybe it's true, I don't know, people raping children in Africa because they had a superstition that it would cure them of AIDS. If they could pass the law that children who don't have AIDS have to give their bodies up to those who do, they would pass that law. So this is the manifestation of our biospirit of the West. That says when a person is in need of help, that you have to render help. That's what's normal for us. So what do we see here again is another piece of white erasure of our norms, of our mores. Wouldn't matter if this guy was, you know, a decamillionaire, centimillionaire. I don't know. Can somebody tell me how much wealth this guy had? It wouldn't matter. Or if he made $30,000 a year. If somebody comes up to you and they're clearly injured and they need help, it is your moral duty. It is, and where does that come from? It comes from in here. A lot of people want to look to books outside, like the Bible or some European religion books or Islam or whatever. Stop looking other places. It's in here. That says that you're supposed to aid that person. Those people drove away once he was stabbed, coming to them for help. And here he comes up to this door, and this is like a palatial, wealthy, swanky neighborhood. This is Nasty Pelosi's district, I believe. And yet, no one renders aid to this guy.
Wounded and stumbling into clear view around 2.
Look at he's like out of it there because of blood loss. What a desperate thing, a desperate moment to be in. Are many people in the white sympathetic sphere talking about this guy and his murder? I wonder, I already know the answer. They would all be talking about it if they already had a non-white murderer. Then they would talk about it because then they would be able to be white negative about the non-white race. But I want to say to you that you should, when you see this guy stepping up to this, what is this, like a telecom or like a box where you type in an address or something to try to get somebody to speak with you. I don't know exactly what he's leaning on there. Imagine the fear going through his mind. He knows his life is slipping away from him. That's one of our brothers. He knows life is slipping away from him. He's terrified. He's so brought to the moment, the awareness of the moment, that he can probably see every little crack in the mortar between those tiles. And he just needed somebody to say, this is what the West has been made. That where monsters can stab somebody to death and then flee, and the victim is ignored by the population. Pear Lady says, has seen several comments on Twitter like this. Like which? Did you write something else, or was it something I said? Time Traveler says, the last time I helped someone, he told the paramedics that I was the one who beat and robbed. Oh, I remember you shared that with us. What was the deal with that? Was that like some homeless drug addict? Promethean Healing is with us, says, howdy, good brother. Well, big howdy to you. Sherry is here. Sherry. Hello, sister. I remember I was at a party and years ago. Did it start off? What was it? Let's see. Let me look up real quick. Yes. So I was at a party and I went into the kitchen and they had all of these bottles of liquor that was out. And I saw Amontillado. I think that's what it was. It was sherry. And I had never had it before. And I asked the guy who lived there, I said, hey, can I have some of this? And he said, sure, but be careful because it's deceptive. I drank the bottle. Oh my God. I started drinking. I was like, this is good. He was like, yeah, it is really good. And so then I started talking about Edgar Allan Poe. I was just pouring, drinking. From the poem Cask of Amontillado. Am I pronouncing that right? And I'm not a drinker, but oops. Anyhow, I was fine. I don't know how much alcohol is it. It's a fortified wine, isn't it? I don't know how much alcohol is in it, but I was fine. Woke up with no clothes on. I'm kidding. Actually, I did wake up with no clothes on once, and I did not know how they came off. That's a story. I don't know, maybe for another day. But sherry, delicious, as I recall. The Amontillado. Cask of Amontillados. The Shade Master writes. Yes. Cool. Papa J Magic says, unfortunately, I'm going to start my week until tomorrow. Gotta be up at 3 a.m. Good night, everyone. Good night, brother. Watch us in replay. Happy Easter to you as well. Summerlee says, a very dark story. The Cask of Amontillado. Yeah, I was just drinking away. No, I wasn't. Nancy, you're asking if I was drugged? No, it was alcohol induced. I was, and unless you want to say I drugged myself, but I had not intended to become so inebriated, and yet it happened. Crazy night, crazy day. Jason, you should try and get Simon from History Debunked channel on, says Sherry. Well, history debunked. I don't quite remember who that. Let me look him up. Is he on YouTube? Hey, I'm live. No White Guilt's live. People should check him out. He's awesome. So this is history debunked. History debunked. Okay. He's got a great mustache. I'll tell you that much. Is this Simon with the mustache? 185,000 subscribers. I don't know if he would appear with me. You'll have to target him, talk to him regularly about us and the work we do. And then maybe he will. All right. So let's go back. We're talking here. Here's one of our brothers bleeding out. Nobody coming to his aid.
2:35 a.m. Tuesday.
The location is 365 Main, crossing of Folsom and Harrison. Split stabbing.
The San Francisco Standard says Lee called 911 and screamed, "Help! Someone stabbed me."
Okay. You know, another thing to point out here is as San Francisco has our standards and norms and expectations for behavior and duty white erased, how much longer did it take aid to get to him once he reached out for aid? I mean, I wonder in an America where there isn't any anti-whitism, how quickly would aid be able to get to you? Twice as fast, 5 times as fast? And then what about the life-saving procedures that we would already have and equipment that would be in place because we haven't been wasting an infinite amount of intelligence and time and dollars and energy on tweaking and piddling away at all of the infinite problems of multiracialism? How do we make it work? How do we make it all work? Another reason why this man would be alive. Time Traveler says that he's been leaving comments on that guy's Simon's channel to introduce the lexicon. His content is very depressing, and it would be great if he went free. Well, that would be great if he started going free. Yeah, Time Traveler said in a white positive country, most people would have knowledge of first aid. No, I was most inebriated when I woke up. No, I was not when I woke up, but obviously when I went to bed that night. And I woke up perfectly naked on top of the blankets in a bed that wasn't mine. In a bed that wasn't even on land.
That 911 call, of course, gives us a sense of time.
Okay, so here we have a woman. Look, before I even read this, Brooke Jenkins, San Francisco District Attorney. No wonder she's like 30 years old. Little Brookie is the district attorney. Maybe that's part of the problem in San Francisco, is that 30-year-old Brookie Jenkins is the district attorney. And I wonder how many of the people who are stabbing and murdering, I wonder how many of them are getting electrocuted publicly, which is what needs to be done at some point, right?
But unfortunately, unless someone says who did it or what happened specifically, its usefulness can be limited.
Yeah. Who did it? You know, and here's the other sad thing. It sounds like Bob did not give a description of the person who stabbed him to death. Does that mean that Bob was afraid to give the description because the person that had stabbed him to death was non-white? I'm asking the question here. Was he worried that if he said, even though his own life is bleeding away from him, Was he actually worried about the ramifications of pointing out the race of the attacker if the attacker was non-white? If the attacker was white, I think he probably would have given the description. That's my guess.
Francisco's DA says she cannot confirm reports a knife was found near the crime scene, but says cell phone data is key.
We want to know who he has been communicating with just before he was stabbed, who he was with, what cell phone towers that cell phone was hitting. Those are all critical pieces of evidence for us tracing backward to the moment that this stabbing
The city is covered in cameras. Bullshit.
occurred.
Perhaps best known for creating.
Look at this guy right here. Total white guy, right? Look at the size of his head. Look at the size of his head. Do you know what that means? It means there might be a very large brain with a very large prefrontal cortex in it for creating, for envisioning, for seeing what's not. Might mean that. You could have a giant head with a small brain, but you can't have a small head with a large brain. First Last has joined us. Great to see you, good brother. So we're seeing that all these different ways that anti-whitism and anti-whites have conspired, unconsciously so, to create an environment in which Bob Lee is stabbed to death. A creator, an inventor. I read that he also financed some tech upstarts. So he's got dough. But you have a city where our norms and codes and expectations for behavior when it comes to obeying the law and not stabbing people, that's been white erased. What is it? Crimes where it's under $1,000, they don't even send the police. I don't know. Check that out for yourself. I don't know the exact numbers. Then you have the standards of Western civilization, this expectation that when someone's injured, you will come to their aid. That's white erased. The people just leave him for dead, literally. The police, total incompetence, cameras all over the city. Probably maybe half of them doesn't even work because everything's going to the dogs. Who knows? Or they don't know how to look at them. They don't know how to read them. They accidentally deleted footage. Who knows? The amount of time it took for medical emergency staff to get to him and how trained or untrained or able they are. I mean, we have a DA here that looks like she's part of a multiracial program. So how many of those people who were running the ambulance, running the fire department, etc., are the same kind of folks who got jobs because they weren't giving the jobs to white people?
In the mobile payment service Cash App,
we still need solutions for the unbanked.
Did you just hear that? We still need solutions for the unbanked. That's everyone who pushes back against anti-whitism, whether they intend to or not. That's everyone. And so the brilliant tech guy who's working on that ends up dead. It's a consequence of anti-whitism, however you look at it. So shut up if you're one of these people who want to say, oh, well, there was definitely a hired mercenary. Now it's the end of the conversation. Fuck off with that. Go home. If that's the end for you, go home. It's anti-whitism either way. It's anti-white oligarchs, if you want to believe it was some kind of hit, which they would be able to do it in a much easier way, of course. But let's just say it's anti-white oligarchs responsible. So put the blame with the concepts in a way that benefits us for once. Or, as I'm saying here, most likely scenario is that it's because of all the white erasure in San Francisco that this is able to happen on multiple tiers that can cause this to happen. Somebody working on Solutions to those who are debanked.
Lee was a tech icon who used to live near the area where he was killed. The police chief facing pressure as the city's safety remains under
What? Is that the chief?
as the city's safety remains under blaring screams.
I got to back it up again. So you have your DA and you have your police
Icon who used to live near the area where he was killed. The police chief facing pressure as the city's safety remains under blaring scrutiny amid a rash of negative headlines.
He's under pressure because of the negative headlines. And this NBC News, total anti-whitism. The problem for that chief of police is that there's negative headline. There are negative headlines. That's the problem. It's not the widespread crime, the murder, the rape, the drug use, the total white erasure of the city. That's not the problem. The problem is that anybody said anything negative about it. Oh, Mestizo talking about the DA before this one? Is that what you're talking about?
We do have some good things to follow up on this case, and they are...
We have some good things to follow up on this case?
Are working tirelessly.
Oh, maybe he said agents. Let me go back. I misheard him. Play.
Safety remains under blaring scrutiny amid a rash of negative headlines.
We do have some good things to follow up on this case, and they are working tirelessly.
He did say things, didn't he? Didn't he say things? We have some good things. Yeah, I'm sure he got the job because he deserved it. We got good things here. We got good things. You mean leads? You mean evidence? You mean, I mean, you're the chief. It's like, if anybody is supposed to know this jargon, it's you. But this is such a joke. It is such a joke. They, you know, they have these judges, all these judges coming up that nominated by Biden, and the simplest things that they're being asked, items in courtroom, etc., they have no clue. Judges, how do you not know? How do you not know what's going on at your job? Ah, the great Fornell is here. Great to see you, good brother. Promethean hails.
Tonight, the high-profile murder mystery of a tech titan. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Miguel Almaguer? Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah. Little pink houses for you and me. Let's see what else we have here. News-wise to share on this. Be reading your comments soon. Probably won't look at that one. What about this one? Fox News. Let's check out Fox News. How's that sound? News. We'll share this. Yeah, I was on a ship. And I was with a friend. He and I were having a little bit of alcohol. And ended up having a little bit more. Is that it? No, that's not it. And ended up having a little bit more. Here we go. And we had a little bit more. Did I tell you all this before? Have I told that story? Yeah, America does live inside. You're right. It lives inside Western Kind, nowhere else. Thank you, Lavish. I appreciate it. I'm glad. Folks are liking the shirt. Y'all like the shirt? Does the shirt look good? Y'all like the shirt? I think it's probably Little Miss Kate's favorite. ACB says 4,000 border crossers a month are dumped off in Denver. Yeah. It is so far gone from all of the means that everybody else has been employing and failing forever. I mean, not only have all of these other vehicles and ideologies and et cetera failed forever, but the state of the things today, it makes it even beyond impossible. It's impossible cubed. Anyhow. NWG Paradigm says, looking snazzy. Well, thank you very much. Yep, it's getting warm outside, but today was not warm. We had a couple of glorious days. Little Miss Katie sent a photograph where she was walking, and it was beautiful blue sky, puffy white clouds, and cherry blossom trees. Really lovely. It's amazing the intricacy of nature, how beautiful it can be, how just like wrathful and deadly it can be. Also, I watched this video on, don't do that. I watched this video on Instagram where it was two men at least, and maybe there were more people. They were in their garage, and there was a sweet Mustang and their older Mustang. I don't know the year. And the guy, the younger of the two, it sounds like, is videotaping the backyard. And there are all these trees, and there's a shed out there, and he's like aiming the phone up at the sky, and he's like, I guess looking for a tornado. What was he saying? It's not really visible up in the sky or something. And then you hear the older guy say to the young man, whatever his name was, like, Josh, it's right there. Let's go. So I guess the younger guy turns around and starts following into the garage. And then I guess that's the access to the basement. And the older guy goes down, and then the young guy, being foolhardy, decides to kind of like stand right at the door inside the garage, I guess, to go down into the basement. He's like trying to videotape. And you see the winds start to rush, and the shed goes. And the young guy yells down the stairs, I guess. He said, there goes the shed. And then the next moment, there's wind is coming from behind him. It's in some kind of enclosure, but it's like, I don't know, sucking the air out. And so all this debris starts flying past him for the garage door opening, and it starts roaring. At that point, he like jumps into the basement, I guess. Only a moment later, if there was no editing done there, it's like just like 10 seconds later, you can see again on the video, he's like emerging, and he steps up out of this basement or something and comes walking out into the garage. And the Mustang's still there, but before it was like all shiny, and I couldn't tell if there was like physical damage to it, but now it was like covered in dirt and dust and nasty. One of the portion of a wall of this like shed area or this like garage area was gone. He's like, whoa, look over there, the wall's gone. He turned the camera around to what the backyard was, and there was nothing. No trees, no shed. It was nothing. Talk about carnage from tornadoes. Holy moly. So fortunately, we're not having that, though. It was cold today and overcast here in the once great state of Virginia, and in the 50s, so that felt cold. But I had a jacket on, so I was all right. Had to run around town. Let me fix this thing. Let's see what they say about. Remember, if you have any comments or questions, especially if it's related to maybe you are in a different community, you use a different method, and you're finding out about us or whatever, you can tag me as No Wank Guilt. I'll see it and answer it. You can write it into the Tall Kevin widget. You can also financially gift with it. Everything that's financially gifted will be read. Let's see what Fox News had to say. There we got sound. Let's go.
On this story, he's in Los Angeles this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill and Dana, we got in contact with a friend of Bob Lee who...
What? What just happened? Try that again. Oh, God, we're going to have to watch a commercial. Oh, boy. Whoa, that's loud. Is that loud for y'all? Wow, that was much louder than the talking. Wow, that guy had some jacked up teeth. He's like kicked in the mouth by a horse. Can you fix my teeth, Doc? No. I talked with, what the hell? The dog is holding it in its mouth. You know, that's funny, but there are people, and this is a nasty, nasty thing. Don't do this. Who would allow their dog to put their mouth on something and then put it in their mouth. That is nasty. If you do that, we're going to think about public whippings. That's a cute little dog, though. Let's go ahead and proceed.
Jeff Paul has more on this story. He's in Los Angeles this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill and Dana, we got in contact with a friend of Bob Lee who lives in the neighborhood where the stabbing happened. He told us Bob was beloved and was the kind of guy who made everyone's lives better. But he also told us no one feels safe around there and says Bob Lee himself called San Francisco a cesspool, and he's not alone in that feeling.
Okay, so it is a cesspool because of what anti-whitism is doing to it. And wouldn't it have been splendid? Wouldn't it have been Titanic if Bob Lee, with all his money, with all his connections, with all his genius, had been introduced to Go Free and was sharing it with other execs, other wealthy people, so that he could actually make a difference in San Francisco against the anti-whites, instead of doing what radical individualistic folks do. They're just like, well, we'll just move away. We'll find another neighborhood where I can just take my ass and my family's asses, and we'll just leave, and we'll leave all the white people behind that are suffering there. Sam says, no, White Guilt, you're like a friend who drops by randomly in between your regular visits. Well, cool, man. I appreciate it. Oh, First Last made a very profound statement there. Bob Lee died of libertarianism. Bob was killed by his own moral code. Yeah. Rory is here. It's the morning over there. Very early morning. I mean, it's like 3 a.m. or something. All right. So he moved away. Now I understand. Maybe they'll say this here. Bob said, oh, well, without saying it, the anti-whites made a cesspit of this once glorious city that when I was a little boy, people would talk about San Francisco like it was this really unique and marvelous place that you had to visit. Am I going to be visiting San Francisco? I don't see that happening. So he flees to Miami with the wife and the 2 children, and then comes back for some meetings or something with some friends, stays an extra day, And that's when he gets killed.
For someone who contributed so much, who was a founder, a creator, I'm really, really...
Let me also point out, you notice that how often do we hear, or when do we hear that our people was a good guy, beloved by his family, beloved by the community? Do you remember? Wasn't it in Southern California where the surgeon was attacked by an anti-white, hit with a car, and then the anti-white jumps out and stabs him to death? But I guess taking away the right to self-defense by removing firearms from law-abiding citizens is the way to prevent people from stabbing you to death. But didn't that happen in Southern California as well? So when do we hear in the news, for your whole lives, when do we hear in the news that the white person was a good guy or a good girl and had loads of friends and was already accomplished so much, did so much for the community? We always hear it when they're murdered. When it comes to anti-whites, when do you hear how wonderful they are, how they were great contributors to the community, how they had so many friends, how they had such a bright future? When they're murderers. Isn't that something to think about? What a difference. Our whole lives, that's how it's been. You take an anti-white, murder a bunch of people senselessly, maliciously, with anti-white motivation, and they're like, but he was such a good boy. He was going to go on to become so many wonderful things and do so much for the world, and his whole church loved him and his family loved him. Meanwhile, of course, you knew what the family sounded like. You knew what the house sounded like. The screaming and the dogs attacking the people and the children, and the jump cars that are broken down sitting in the front yard. Have you seen? And sometimes it's none of that. Sometimes it's they have so much money, it's beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, it's all just bestial and maniacal. We just saw this with this anti-white female who fancied herself a male, and she was such a great drawer, and she could have been such a great cartoonist, and her heart was so big, and she was so lovely. People need to remember the pain of this privileged group in society. This is how it is this is what we live our whole lives. Why aren't, I mean, you all, everybody who's here, you are fed up enough that you want to push back. And that's why you use the tools, the Go Free method that pushes back, that defeats anti-whites. That's why you do it. But why are so many of the others, why are they so negligent? Don't you want to crush anti-whitism like I do? Why would you keep using things that don't work? Yep. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it's he was butchered, and he was butchered, and he cured cancer, and it's just, he was the main surgeon they went to save lives, and he had created a means for exchanging currency across the United States, and that was potentially going to be used North America and further. But now he's dead.
Shocked and upset, and I feel unsafe.
It's a tragic situation. Paying our respects is the least we can do.
Tragic situation. And they didn't talk to any white people. Is that because there were none to talk to? Our concepts need to be pushed so hard, need to reach so many people, that even if they interview non-white people on the streets of San Francisco, they'll say, it's probably anti-whitism. That's why this white guy was murdered. That's what we need to have happen. Instead of this like abstractionist, generic garbage of, it's a horrible, like a comet hit. It's just like an unforeseen tragic thing. It's just a calamity. It's just an unstoppable calamity. It's, for the longest time, the anti-whites, I would get in arguments with them and destroy them. I would get in arguments with and turn them upside down, grab both their legs, wishbone their asses into pieces. That's how good my arguments are. And they would say, oh, sign of the times. Just sign of the times. Just the way it is everywhere. It's just the way it is everywhere. Nothing can be done. No source of it. All right, so let's see what else they have to say next.
Investigators say they were called out to the scene in San Francisco's Embarcadero waterfront around 2:30 a.m. Tuesday. That's when they found Lee, who had been stabbed. Medics tried to save him, but Lee later died at the hospital. As police continue to work the case, they have yet to name any suspects or announce any arrests. Bob Lee's father, Rick Lee, wrote on Facebook that his son was the kind of guy that would give the shirt off of his back, never look down on anyone, and that he just lost his best friend.
Right, that's tragic. That's how we should all feel when we see another white person get cut down by anti-whitism. That's how we should all, like that dad's talking there. And again, I mean, you're not seeing the sort of energy in the white sympathetic sphere that you would see if they knew for certain that the attacker was non-white. That's a problem. That's a big problem, especially for those of us who want to recapture our destiny and reclaim what's ours.
Devastated for them, and that as the top law enforcement officer in this city and county, I will ensure if somebody is arrested for this crime, that we prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law.
If somebody is arrested for the crime, this is one of the nicest areas. This is Nasty's district, Nasty Pelosi's district. It's one of the nicest areas, yeah? Rincon Hill, San Francisco, California. Somebody can look up what's like the average cost of living there. Those areas are protected, but they're not protected when anti-whitism has wide erased norms and standards, expectations for duty. You have police that got there, police and medics that got there too late to save his life, a hospital that was too incompetent to save his life. And notice also, and you had the bystanders in the car that just drove away. It was like, oh, it's just some white guy that stabbed. Let's just leave. Notice the deafening silence here. And what do we say about it? We don't just say, there it is again. The anti-white media doesn't care. There aren't any, you'll see these people all the time that say, there's not going to be a big vigil. There's not going to be a march to tear down. Do you know why that is? Because we don't have the moral imperative. Generally speaking, people are not practicing the go free method. So we don't have the moral imperative that trumps their anti-white morality. That's why there aren't any marches. That's why police chiefs feel like their hands are tied and they can't arrest the marchers when they get angry, because there isn't another moral code there. A moral code that can form a center of gravity for a resistance. How many people are even listening to what I have to say? I mean, it's amazing.
Now, having been the creator of Cash App and involved in other similar tech companies, the tech world is reacting. Elon Musk says violent crime in San Francisco is horrific, and even if attackers are caught, they are often released immediately. But Mayor London Breed, in a statement, says she is confident police will make an arrest or arrests, and whoever is responsible will be held accountable.
Sure. Sure they will. Elon Musk. It would have been a great opportunity for Elon Musk to say that he's confident this is an anti-white attack. That the attacker was anti-white. Do you really think I can guarantee you, I don't need to know anything else about this crime. I can guarantee you that the attacker was thinking, there's a white guy, the oppressor of the world. He's like clean cut. He's put together. That's the avatar of the entire white race. The best looking, the best in bed, the best money, the most money, the best fame, the best beauty. It doesn't matter that he doesn't exhibit 9/10 of what he's being accused of as the avatar of Western kind. That was in the murderer's mind when he murdered him. 100% guarantee it. There is no way that you can live in Western civilization and have anything else in your mind but that, and maybe it was a drug addict who wanted money and thought, here's one of the white demons. And remember, the drug addict is anti-white. I'm postulating here. And I know I'm 100% right because I always am. It doesn't matter what his race was. He's anti-white. All right, I'll read an article, some about it, and then we'll get on to your comments. And then we got a little bit from Fox News. Was it Jesse Waters just talking about San Francisco? Was all of a sudden, puck goes through, hits mom right in the face. Commercial takes a drastic turn. Teeth are hanging out. And that's why they were showing that other commercial for that thing that goes in your mouth to fix your teeth. You think that's what's going to happen next? Mom's like, I'm just going to check my phone and blood everywhere. Roger asking if he was robbed. I don't know. I assume that he was likely robbed. But I don't know. Just whatever you do, folks, talk about Bob Lee. Talk about, it is 11/11. Talk about Bob Lee and use the key concepts. Use other concepts from the Go Free method. That's the only way you're making a difference in the world. Please, for God's sake. My life has sucked because of anti-whitism. So has yours. You have suffered innumerable slights as a consequence, grievous victimization as a consequence. Please use the tools that work. You can make like a little effigy of me in your fucking shed that you burn and you hate on if you're jealous of me. Just use the tools that work. Dump the shit that doesn't. For God's sake, wake up. All right, what happens next? Do you think it's the puck comes through the glass? Oh, wait, she's texting or something. She's like, he's out there using drugs, I bet. I bet he's out. Because that's, in the real world, that's what's happening with all the white kids. She's like, he's a white boy, so he's probably raping. He's probably gang raping now. We'll see. Oh, wait, she sees him through the window. Oh, wait, he looks like he's slinging them pucks right toward the house. Who's he with out there? Oh! Set up supervision on Instagram with your teen to view who follows them. Boy, they're going to be getting rid of that, aren't they? Because of anti-whitism. They can't have that happen unless they say, well, the supervision includes people who want to molest your child. They need to be there. And whether they want to dress like people of their sex or a different sex or like monsters from a movie, whatever. She's like, I'm so happy I'm cleaning my hands after nidificating all day long. And I can just stare at my boy so that he can be wrapped up and never become a man. He'll just stay under my skirt. I can keep my... That boy is too old for her to have constant eyes on him. Let's be realistic. This is part of the problem. Somebody go tell the kid to go play at the construction site, for Christ's sake. Somebody go tell that kid, like, hey, climb on the tractor at the construction site. Where's dad? I see a mother here. Is that supposed to be dad or is that two sons? Who is that? A boy and his friend? Who is it? I don't even know. Where's dad? Does she have a ring on? Did anybody see? There probably is no dad. They're just pushing that single mother stuff. The boy should be down at the construction site climbing on top of a tractor. Instead, he's in full view of mom. And you know who probably should be there with the boy climbing on the tractor? Dad. I didn't see a ring. Oh, boy. We're not going to watch this. Boy, this guy. Listen to this guy. Are they going to let him talk here?
There comes a time where people get sick and tired of...
People are sick and tired of me and my white suit. This guy and the other one, they were the ones who were thrown out of the legislature in Tennessee, I believe. But, I mean, they're both from... They're both the hardest core LARPers I've ever seen. Did you see this? They like walked right out of Roots. I mean, what is this shit?
Being sick and tired.
Sick and tired. Oh, that's really, really original. But you watch. If the anti-whites want to, they would attribute it to him, and then all white children would have to learn it. And any white people who said, no, tired of being sick and tired is an old saying, they would say, oh, you are a R word.
And so I came as a representative to this well.
He had to look down to, as I came as a representative to this well.
And so today,
yeah, we don't say, Caesar, we don't say the anti-white concept racist because it is the ring of Sauron. It has destroyed the West. It defeated the West. And so we don't use it. We do not try to wear the ring of Sauron. We use anti-white because it defeats. Let's see what else this guy has to say.
we are brought to hear.
We are brought to hear. What is on his hand there? He's probably got like some high-tech finger phone. Latest technology, knows how to use 1/100th of it, what it can do, of the capabilities.
Where members are responding in the most extreme measure, not because of what we did, but because by breaking the quorum, we broke the glass of your false power for the world to see. We broke the
quorum. We white erased all of your norms and customs. You have these rules in place. And we are to do that because we want to demonstrate that white people are evil.
Glass of this chamber that someone called sacred. One of the members on the other side of the aisle was in tears and said, I've never seen such a breach of this sacred chamber.
Never seen a break of the sacred chamber. Hallelujah.
And I thought to myself, that representative has obviously never read history.
Oh, has never read. Remember what I told you when we were talking about, what was that guy? What was that guy? Oh, I almost just had his name. Totally forgettable character. Anti-white. Claims to be like this black nationalist, but maybe is only about a quarter black. Talk about demonstrating by your very being that you know society is anti-white when you're like a quarter black and you're like, I am the head black guy at the house. I am the head black guy on this channel. I mean, you're just like, just scream to us that you know society is anti-white.
Because is it in this chamber, if you walk around this Capitol, you'll see bullet holes when representatives got.
So history, the appeal to history. Doesn't it tell you who's in charge when the official history serves your anti-white agenda, that you anti-whites are but that doesn't matter. Remember, this is something that you have to share with your brothers and sisters out there, with your friends and family, with strangers, your coworkers. You have to get them to see this world, to step up out of that anti-white narrative and see that in the narrative, the white race is in charge for the benefit of white people, particularly white males. But then in reality, anti-whites can make an appeal to official history. Well, then anti-whites are in charge.
Into conflict. You'll see duels take place on this House floor, debating whether people like me should be treated like equal citizens.
Oh, yeah, that's what's that. Whether people like him. So it's just pure anti-whiteism. If you have a non-white victim, or if you have a privileged group victim, every time somebody talks about something like that, it is an attack on white people. Does that make sense? Because in claiming that they're victimized, there has to be a victimizer. In that narrative that they're talking about, the victimizer is white people. And white people can only not be victimizers by not existing. Because even when white people are anti-white, they are forced, perforce, the ideology to constantly apologize for their internalized and their secret and their hidden racism. Right? Please share these things.
Under law. This is not a temple. This is a place where we're supposed to wrestle for our democracy.
Wrestle for, he wanted literal wrestling between the mob of these anti-white females. I actually have been hearing people, I was joking. What was it? 2 years ago when I started saying they're going to call them wokies, and maybe they already were, but I hadn't heard it. I was joking because I thought it was so incredibly retardous. And now it's more and more are like the wokies and the wokesters. We are supposed to wrestle. Yeah.
And wrestle ideas and give voice
Where's
to
the other one?
78,000 constituents each of us represents.
Come on, get onto the other
Out
one.
of the aisle are taking what you vote. You have the votes. First, from talking complicity of this
I want to see the other one. Did you all see the other one with the big afro?
Elementary school.
Show me the other one with the big afro. These are the guys that got hit with the people who got hit with can you skip this? The puck. Just snap it in. Get an instant perfect smile with our plastic teeth. Didn't they used to sell these as like Dracula? Didn't you put this in when you were a kid? And it was the Dracula teeth? Come on, they'll be doing that soon. I don't know. Maybe they're wonderful. Who knows? The dog thinks so. Somebody should kick it across the floor. Oh, they're not doing it. That's what I would do if I had a dog and it picked up something that goes in my mouth. No. It would be like, I'm gonna introduce drop kicking to you, little dog. This is how we drop kick. All right, so let's take a look at how's my blue shirt looking? Is it looking awesome? Is it looking fabulous? Do I need to button this or no? Leave it unbuttoned. Should I button this or leave it unbuttoned? Like that? Or like that? I don't know. It's Friday night. Show off my Eindelen. Oh, my back is popping. Let me pop my back. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? I can't feel my legs anymore. Oh. David says it looks very blue. It is, my friend. Masume says it's funny when I say the word LARPers. Ooh. Oh my God, I shouldn't do that. Oh, I felt another pain. My back is nothing but raw muscle. You look at my back, it's like looking at a genetically super being bull, and you can see the muscles like rippling. That's what my back looks like. It's just like nothing but menacing death. For those who I can do pull-ups, like and raise my whole lower half, but I am not like a gymnast where they have like a tiny, truncated legs that are really light and everything. Not with me. Plastic Dracula. Franklin, do you remember the plastic Dracula teeth? That's what that commercial, that's what they were trying to sell. They were like, you put these on, your teeth are perfect. You smile real big and it's like with your fangs. Especially for all those face fronting jobs out there where you got to deal with the public. Like our great Final Blossom doesn't have to deal with the public very much. He's a brilliant guy. And so he's able to have a job where he doesn't have to face the public a lot. But there are people out there, service jobs. You can imagine you have your big fangs. And why not? If you can say that you are a totally different sex, then why not? By the way, I saw some of this. People were all going just gaga goo goo. I'm trying to find like slang to use over Walsh. And there's this interaction between him and a trans imaginary male, I guess, that believes he's or wants to be a female. I don't know. I'm not sure, but whatever. And his responses, everybody thought, wow, that's so good. And I was like, no, it's not so good. There's one argument that is a Trump argument, not Donald Trump, but there's a Trump one. The arguments that he made, maybe I'll watch that video and I will provide the transgender person the arguments that, I don't know if it goes by he or she or whatever, that biological he could use to overcome Matt Walsh's objections, even to the question of what is a woman. I have a response that can overcome that. That's why anti-whites will eventually catch up to me, and then they'll defeat these conservative content creators' arguments. And then where will you be left? I mean, this happens again and again and again. I could say it right now, and the anti-whites would immediately start using it because they're apparently smart enough. They could watch this. They're watching. I'm sure they are. They know, hello, Agent Smith. They're watching, and they would immediately pick it up, and they would promulgate it across the country overnight. But our people, no. I'm going to go get me some of those Dracula teeth. Let's take a look at this article. No, that's not it. That's the history debunked guy, I think. Well, before I read, don't I have the article? Oh, you know what? It's over here, isn't it? Too many monitors. Cash App creator Bob Lee, 43, murdered in San Francisco stabbing reports. This is New York Post. He was murdered. He was not killed. I'll have to disagree with you on Matt Walsh. I think he was great in the debate with the trans person. Well, unless I was there telling the trans person what to say. And then the trans person would have made Matt Walsh look bad. The trans person was not like tantamount, at least in verbal intelligence, to Matt Walsh. That's why we have to use the Go Free method. Because there are arguments, I've thought of them, that transgender people can make to defeat conservative arguments in a way that elicits sympathy from more than enough folks to have what they want all the time. And that's what's going to end up being, because I'm not the only person with an IQ 180 plus. So they're going to have folks who are going to figure this out, and they'll communicate it down the line, and then it'll be spoken everywhere into the world, into the ether, and that'll be it. It'll be over. And then you're all going to have to suffer with these people who need help. So that's why we have to go free. That's why we have to use the concepts that we provide here that keep winning, that keep succeeding. Tech entrepreneur Bob Lee, who created the mobile payment service Cash App, which, by the way, every financial gift tonight that comes over Cash App, we are doing in the name of Bob Lee. I dedicate everyone spiritually, morally, to the memory of Bob Lee, the creator of Cash App, for whom, this would not exist. This would not exist at all. And I mean, we have a number of means by which, and I've been kicked off of all these different payment processors, and then gotten on two more, as is my promise, and kicked off and gotten on two more. And we have these different veins, but that's one of them. And it simplifies life for a lot of people. And so in his memory, thank God he lived. He was stabbed to death in a well-to-do San Francisco neighborhood in Representative Nasty Pelosi's district. That is a ode to the great King Mark Dice, to call her nasty. That's where I got that from. On Tuesday morning, authorities and loved ones said the 43-year-old dad of two, who formerly served as the chief technology officer of Square, was attacked in the city's downtown Rincon Hill neighborhood at 2:35 a.m., according to San Francisco police. Another thing that you should be concerned about is that how many execs out there are still white men. That is like a plummeting, a dying out, hen's teeth group. They are anybody but white males because of anti-whitism. Officers arrived to find the victim, later confirmed to be Lee by CBS News, with multiple stab wounds. Lee was taken to a nearby hospital where he succumbed to his injuries, police told the outlet. No arrests have been made as of early Wednesday. And of course, today is Friday. Police have not released any details about a suspect. Isn't that interesting? If they had, and there's video all over, this is one of those times that, since we know of anti-whitism, we know that if the attacker had been white on these, it's high-def cameras too that they have there. In fact, I remember years ago talk about San Francisco being one of the first cities one of the early cities in the United States being covered in cameras. Is that not true? Did I hear wrong? And this well-to-do area, what it is, because the wealthy people will demand it. So if that attacker had been white, we would all have images of it. The police had reached out to the San Francisco Police Department, the Post, Jake Shields, Lee's friend, and a mixed martial arts champion, revealed Lee was attacked while he was walking. He was in the good part of the city and appeared to have been targeted in a random mugging attack, Shields tweeted. Handsome guy, too. What a terrible... Look at the beautiful building he was killed out in front of. And then they say, well, and they're out there, they're spraying up the blood. How sickening. He later said Lee had moved out of the Democrat-run city. Now, the problem is not the Democrat Party. The problem is anti-whitism, which has had constant problems with homeless people and drug addicts in recent years. Constant problems? You created those problems. It's had problems because of how it has been changing for the worse. No, it's not been changing for the worse as like a force of nature. Like, well, we're in a dry spell, or this is the rainy season. These things happen because human beings make decisions about ideology, and that ideology animates the animal, whether you believe we have a soul or not. You see how this writer, isn't the New York Post supposed to be like friendlier to white people, even indirectly so? And this is how they write to you? How are you supposed to think straight? Well, things are just getting bad in San Francisco. Things are just getting bad. I mean, they're having a hard time dealing with it. They're fucking creating it. So he actually just relocated to Miami. I'm not sure why he's going back there for a little business, and I'm not sure why he's going back there for a little business in San Francisco for a couple days. And then just like 2 little bundles of flowers at the base of the tree beside where he died. How many bundles of flowers did St. Floyd get? All across the fucking world. Now, why did that happen? Because of anti-whitism, because of anti-white morality. The median house price, okay, here we have this. I was asking about, what was the salary or whatever, but we have here the median house price in that area is $1.4 million, according to Realtor.com. Lee has served as the $1.4 million. Yeah, that should be completely safe. Lee had served as the chief product officer of San Francisco-based cryptocurrency company Mobile Coin since November 21, according to his LinkedIn page. San Francisco Standard described Lee as a longtime member of the Bay Area software development community who had recently moved to Miami. For this particular business trip, he had decided to stay in the city for an extra day when he was attacked. A friend of the slain executive told the outlet. "I'm still in shock," said the friend. "No way he did anything to provoke this, and I feel like he would just hand his money and watch to a mugger. I'm sure he tried, but his life doesn't have any value." And the anti-white who came to do this to him, who targeted him, was because he was white, probably had a long way to go to get away from the scene of the crime, to get out of that nice area, Riken area, whatever it's called, hill. And since Lee has no value to his life, and this anti-white has to get out of there, he just took his life. Do you see how you can explain things in a way that speaks to the truth of our lives, of our scenarios, of our existence, of the world we live in now? Do you see how you can speak to it in a way that benefits us? You're going to have to get over thinking that it's got to not benefit us for it to be true. White people really need to get over this problem. Elon Musk and other tech leaders decried the tragic stabbing and speak to it in a way that benefits us without demonizing other groups of people. Elon Musk and other tech leaders decried the tragic stabbing. It was just a stabbing. We were just talking about this with the school shooting. A school shooting is when white people, back before the country was radically anti-white, took their rifles to school, and then after school went out to the targets in the field behind school and had target practice. That's a school shooting. When white people are gunned down, that's an anti-white terrorist murdering white people. This just wasn't some like tragic stabbing. It acts, this is New York Post. They're making it seem like it's something out of your control. Have I ever told that story about me being inebriated and waking up naked? Many people I know have been severely assaulted, Musk tweeted. Violent crime in San Francisco is horrific, and even if attackers are caught, they are often released immediately. I'd be willing to bet that most of the people that he knows that have been violently assaulted were white. But he's not going to say that. It's just people I know. People I know have been assaulted. Jack Dorsey, whose company Block owns Cash App, also confirmed Lee's passing in a post on the decentralized social media platform. Lee was the first chief technology officer at Square, the company that was later renamed Block. And there he is. It's a real shame. It's a real shame that he wasn't financing yours truly and the work that we're doing here so that we can save lives like his. Now I wonder what's going to happen to his little girls now that he's gone. Is that world going to be a better place because people like Bob Lee ignored the work that is reclaiming our destiny, and therefore a better place for his little girls to grow up in? Or is it going to be a worse place? Well, it's going to be a worse place. Tributes from his co-workers began to pour in Tuesday night, with MobileCoin CEO Joshua Goldberg calling Lee a force of nature. He does seem like a force of nature. Bob was a force of nature, helped to birth Android and Cash App into the world. Did you just hear that? I didn't know that either. He helped to create Android as well as Cash App. He created Cash App, but he played a role in creating Android. This guy, he's probably some mega genius. You know that, right? And some worthless anti-white piece of filth took his life. Moby was his dream, a privacy-protecting wallet for the 21st century. I will miss him every day. Then you have another man here saying of Bob, a generous, decent human being who didn't deserve to be killed, to be murdered. During his tech career, Lee also worked at Google, where he led Android's core library team. He led it and launched the world's most used operating system, according to his profile on MobileCoin's official website. Now I wonder, now that Bob Lee created this core library for Android, I wonder if they now have or will get a non-white person from another continent, maybe India, to be in charge there and just make sure that it keeps working the way that Bob created it. I'm speculating. I don't know that that's the case. But that person, whoever they are, with whatever their talents are, should remain in India and do good things for the Indians. And we should have our people in our country. This is another thing I was thinking about. You can take this to the bank and share it with your friends, family, and strangers. We're hit over the head all the time, or often, by anti-whites who say, well, you weren't having enough kids. You're not having enough people to repopulate. So what? So let's just say, okay, that's true. We weren't having enough children to continue to grow the economy or to continue to grow the population, and then therefore the economy. So as though the economy, this God economy, is what matters. That. Where would we be today in America with all of the robotics that we've created, with the artificial intelligence that we've created, and other groups have contributed as well, but with the artificial intelligence that we've created, the robotics that we've created, and more that would have been created, more would have already been done, because necessity is the mother of invention in the West, with Western kind. So if our population was shrinking, we would be more in harmony with nature. We would have machines. Think about this. Does anybody talk about this or think about this? Let's say the white population was shrinking and had been shrinking for a long time. Let's say America even had half the white population that it had before, say, the 1960s, when they started flooding the nation with people from around the world, wonderful people from around the world. Let's say we had half the population, and we had built machines and AI and everything to do all these different things for us. How much could we turn back over to nature? I would rather be in an America with a smaller total population, with more machines able to do work, more artificial intelligence able to do work. If people are choosing, and our borders secured with probably quite a bit of military technology that can be piloted from remote locations so that none of our lives are at risk. Could you imagine that kind of world? Could you imagine where the population of the U.S. is half or a quarter or a fifth or even smaller what it was in 1960? How much less pollution there would be in America? Everything would be pristine. I talked about this before years ago. I think we had Jared George on, and I talked about how America would be heaven. You would have pristine forests, pristine rivers, pristine deserts, pristine prairies, where no people lived, but people could go to visit, and they could see the wildlife, and they could smell the fresh air. The mountaintops would glisten with the purest of snow. Fish, the streams and the ponds would be full of fish. Bears would be everywhere. Coyotes, wolves, raptors of various types. Nature would be all around us, and we would love it. With a fifth or a sixth or a tenth of the population of 1960. And the country would be more secure. There would be no border crossing. There wouldn't be any of this widespread problems of multiracialism. I mean, for God's sakes. And okay, every person out there, libertarian or whatever, who worships economy, And they just need wealthy people to make more and more and more money. Nothing gets better for the rest of us. We live increasingly in a dump. We live increasingly in a chemical spill site. And yet we're still losing our jobs to some of those jobs to machines and AI, but most of them to other human beings, come from around the world. Loudoun County, beside Fairfax County, used to just be rolling hills of old southern plantations that don't even work, many of them anymore. They just like grow hay or whatever for livestock. Stunning old growth forests. It's all been taken down to make way for new India. That's the people who are pouring in here. Wonderful folks, many of them, some of them know. That's the way it is with every group of people. But I'd rather have the forest in my country. Let them live in their country, where they came from. I'd rather have the pristine lakes. You could drive by lakes now in the DC metro area that shine iridescent. Is that what you want? If you want more of that, then keep using these other methods to reclaim our destiny. Keep talking about the jaywalkers. Keep talking about how bad crime is from this race or that race. Keep talking about that shit. And you'll have more of this. You have more of these outcomes. Or be one of those conservative types that you don't see race as we're getting attacked on the basis of race. Keep doing that, and we'll have more of this. Whole thing would be heaven on earth. You wouldn't have to, like they do now, where they threaten, oh, we're going to make this entire area human-free, so no people can go there. Oh, with the exceptions, though, of non-white people can go there, from other countries especially. But we're going to have, otherwise, this part of this forest, we're going to make off-limits to human beings. There wouldn't have to be anything like that, because there would be so much pristine forests, so many pristine prairies, so much pristine, that the tiny impact of a small population wouldn't do anything to it. Who's talking about that? Later, Lee founded the social network Present and went on to invest in companies like Figma, Clubhouse, Beeper, and Fair. So this guy had dough. This guy had a lot of money. This guy had a lot of money. He could very easily have shown up and said, I'm going to finance your entire operation. Why aren't we getting to guys like this? And why aren't guys like that listening to us? When the COVID-19 pandemic hit the globe, Lee assisted the World Health Organization with its mobile app, and later helped to develop an at-home testing company to send out the tests to folks who think they have COVID. And that's it. That's it. He's murdered. We can't even get the radical individualists, which are the right wing inside the anti-white narrative. We can't even get them to use verbiage that even remotely benefits, or even, I should say this way, even remotely pushes back against what the anti-whites do to us. Traveler says, someone flipped out and blocked me on Twitter because I mentioned that I have dug up fossils and that conflicts with her worldview. I'm so black-pilled by the drop in IQ. Well, it really is. It really is a big drop in IQ. Caesar said his cat is asking for dinner. Does it have fangs like the Dracula mouthpiece? Essington says, Jason made a good point earlier. Thank you for that. Says, we should give love to our brothers and sisters while they are here. Tell them how much their efforts mean to you. Amen to that. Thank you very much. Archangel is with us. Great to see you. You look amazing, but a little work on your side delts and traps would take you to the next level. And then a wink. I don't know. Always could have a little bit more work, but out of clothing, I have like bowling ball delts and Herculean traps. NWG Paradigm says I need resistance bands because they will heal up my back. Oh, the chat leapt on me, damn it. Because it will heal up my, what was it, like cracking back or something? Let's have a look at, I'm gonna answer your comments from that have been posted before. But first I'm gonna take a look at your financial gifts right now. We'll take a look over there at D Live. There I am over there on D Live. Geez, I look good. I look very tasty. I look lickable. That is lickable. Look at DC behind me. Big debt of gratitude to the great For Null and the great Groundhog Fury. Every time you look at that magic window, give a little thanks to Groundhog Fury and For Null. It's beautiful, isn't it? The window looks awesome too. So I don't see, oh wait, we do have a lemon over here. 3 lemons, in fact. From Board Troll. Thank you very much, Board Troll. Gave 3 lemons over there on D Live of their cryptocurrency. Let's check out Odyssey. And let me bring it up to speed here. And we have, okay, somebody with a name that reveals that they are a crutcher. They're on that crutch. So let me see what he had to say. Well, okay. Now what he said here is true, and the passion is awesome. Got to get rid of that. Got to get a new screen name. That screen name, you got to get off that crutch. Because what you're talking about here, and this is what he writes. Every goddamn day, white people are being slaughtered. Most U.S. cities are as bad as South Africa for white people. It's absolutely true. And we have the remedy. But you have to use the Go Free method, brother. Please get on board. Use the Go Free method. It's helping so many people. There's no use in using the crutch anymore. The crutch does not help. It hurts. All right. Whoa. Over here on Entropy, we have one financial gift from a monumental figure. I will sit up straight for this monumental figure and salute. Please, 007s, raucous emojis, if you're with us on this Friday night as we approach midnight. Please, 007s, cast some diamonds, some gems at his feet. What a beautiful thing. Dude bro moment does again and again and again. 50 white well-being dollars. 50. Let's remember Bob Lee. And let's make sure that the Bob Lees of the world, hear the redeeming message of the Go Free method, that they come to the work that we are doing, that they invest in this, and that we prevent the murders of Bob Lees and others in the future. Dollars. That's what Dude Bro moment. 50 of those. God bless you, brother. Please, if you have the crowns set up on your phone, if you're watching there, maybe you're watching me on the silver screen, you got it on a projector. Find the crown. Give this man some crowns. Let's put some crowns on his head. And he writes with those $50 for white well-being. You have no idea how important these folks are. We're not going to have a mass appeal to retarduses. It's just, it's not going to happen, I'm afraid. I mean, we keep trying, but we're not going to have a mass appeal to the retarduses. And we have a message about that. I don't think I'll read that tonight, but it's so true because it was speaking to the difference in IQ, and that at some level there can't be communication of any value because they cannot understand, and the white race has fallen so far in its IQ that they can't. The success, that doesn't even mean anything to them. They're like, well, there's success, but I don't understand what's happening, so I'm going to ignore it. So thank you all very much. That's Dude Bro Moment for White Well-Being, $50. Oh, and we just had Western Inoculator show up. Great to see you, brother. $3 financial gift from the great inoculator of Western kind. He says, anti-whitism is satanic. It absolutely is. It 100% is. And we own what that means. It's not a general thing for the totality of the world. Stop thinking that, white people. If something is satanic, it's not, or the devil, it's what hurts us. That's the devil. It's what hurts us. That's satanic. You keep universalizing it and taking yourself out of it to make it an abstraction, and you perish. Over in the question widget, we have Edamon3 says, the anti-white EFF has so far failed to take over South Africa. Do you think Afro Forum has a shot of ending anti-whitism there, or would they need the lexicon? They absolutely need the lexicon. I have yet to see anything that transforms the life of an individual trapped by virtue of being alive in a Western country, trapped in an anti-white narrative, be able to defend themselves effectively inside of that narrative. You absolutely have to have the lexicon, and that by way of the lexicon, you have that moral imperative that allows you to do many other things, that it opens your mind to thinking many different things. It's a sad truth that if it weren't white people in this state, if it were Jewish people in this state that we are in today, and I came forward and I was like, this is how we put an end to it. You know how many Jewish people would be showing up to give financial aid, legal aid, organizational aid? It would be everywhere. It would be everywhere. There would be poor Jewish people, but who are magnificent poets, and they would show up. There would be poor Jewish people who are songwriters, and they would show up. There would be filthy rich Jewish people showing up, and they would help. Once they saw something working. You see, like with the Bob Lees of the world, brilliant white men, the only thing that they see working that they care about is if it's got a massive ROI. Then the white people will show up. Then they'll say, well, here are my dollars. Suddenly they roll in. Suddenly they roll in and they break out their checkbook and they're like, let's buy that up. That's going to make me a bunch of money. That's a reality we have to deal with. I mean, we can cuss it, we can lament it, but nonetheless, it's a reality we have to deal with. So it is satanic. Western Inoculator, very well said. Let me check on over at Cash App, where we are honoring Bob Lee tonight. And we have a financial gift from the great First Last. God bless you, brother. Financially gifting 5 white well-being dollars and remembering Bob Lee and what he created. You're there and I'm here because of what that white man did. How much of that, if we could know, or if an AI that can tap into all of the information could tell us, they would say that microphone, that mic stand, that speaker, that keyboard, the technology undergirding all of that, the technology undergirding the internet, the technology, the monitor, the camera, all of it, where you're typing right now, how I'm able to see that, how you're able to see what everybody else types. We would be thanking white people from now until the end of our lives. Thank you for that. We also have here $2 financial gift over on Cash App from Western Kind United. Thank you so much. And he says with those $2 that the video that it's me speaking in, it's called Mommy, Will I Always Be White? ? If you find that video, it's, I don't know if it's on my YouTube anymore. I think you can get it on nowhiteguilt.org. I think it might automatically play at nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com. Look for it. He says that video is powerful. It really is powerful. And thank you for mentioning that. The great Western Kind United. And let's see here. All right, we didn't miss anybody there. We're just hanging out tonight. We're just hanging out. Linda's with us. Return on investment, Linda. How much money am I getting back? Oh, and there's the great Elaine Sabatino. Wonderful to see you, dear lady. Yes, a Promethean hails to Bob Lee. It's because of him, even though he didn't come through for us. Maybe he never heard of us because of the censorship. Maybe he didn't care because he's radical individualist. I don't know. He's probably a radical individualist. Probably steps up in front of a group of other radical individualists and says, we're all radical individualists, so let's keep decentralizing. We'll just keep decentralizing until except the problem with that is that those who are centralized kick your ass. That's the only problem with that. Let's get to some of your comments. We will scroll down. I'm working 2 mice at once, or mouses. What are they when they're the machine? I guess they're mouses. When they're not the living being, not the little creature that you crush in a mousetrap. I've been killing some mice lately. Is that okay to say on YouTube? I've been really killing some mice. They've been coming in the garage. It's very foolish. It's very foolish. I should put a little sign out that says, don't come in my garage. You're going to end up dead. And yet they come in there and the mouse traps are in there. And it's just like, zam, zam. Eventually they will learn. Don't come in my garage. All right, let's go down here. Whoa, we've got a bunch here that we can. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Going to read through some of your comments. We're going to kind of go back in time to get some of the older ones. Geez, we do have some older ones here. Des saying a fantastic video, a lot of good info on how to deal with the potentially violent anti-whites. This could absolutely save the lives of white people caught up in these horrible encounters. Great job, Jason. That was when we were talking about the older white guy who who was verbally assaulted and threatened, terrorized by 3 anti-whites, all larger than him. Vincent says, quote, we have a white problem, not a black problem, not an X problem. Good quote. This is that was Vince quoting me from that video, that we have a white problem. That's what the problem is in that video. And the reason why I said that is because the 3 anti-whites were black, and so many white people, radical individualists, just wanted to blame black people. There was a restaurant full of white men, or white males, white boys, white males that did not come out. So we have a white problem. He also writes, these are high resolution, talking about my takes from that stream. These are high resolution takes. It shows that Jason takes his time to really think things out. Thank you very much for that, the great Vincent. Somebody by the name of Start says, Jason, you are really inspiring. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Start. Based White says, I really like your phrase, Hollywood is not history. An example I have noticed, as one of our meme curatives, an example I have noticed is when some people speak out about the USA In the past, they cite TV shows like Mad Men as if it were a documentary. Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh. It's after 12. It's after midnight. After midnight. We gonna let it all hang out. Mind Over Magic says, Jason, California doctor stabbed to death. We were just actually talking about that. And then I randomly grabbed this. California doctor stabbed to death on a scenic bike ride, remembered by colleagues for saving, quote, many lives. Dr. Michael Mammon was an emergency room doctor in Orange County, California, and it's almost like the spirit of the West, like the actual spiritual energy is strong within me. It's almost like that. Californian was killed while bicycling on the Pacific Coast Highway. Mammon was murdered Wednesday as he was bicycling on Pacific Coast Highway in the coastal city of Dana Point. A motorist, anti-white, in a Lexus, struck him from behind and then got out of the car and assaulted Mammon, 58, with a knife, authorities said. Kind of a strange similarity, wouldn't you say? I wonder what ties these events together. What connects them? An innocent man is dead because he took a bike ride to enjoy a beautiful California day along the beach, and he was hit with a car and stabbed to death by someone he apparently never met. And that was what the district attorney, Todd Spitzer, said. The murder of a complete stranger in broad daylight for what appears to be absolutely no reason. Bullshit. It was because he's white. Well, I mean, this is why it's bad as it is, folks. This is why. You know, the only thing that could make that statement worse is if this guy were to blame jaywalkers for it. That's the only way it could be more harmful to us. Roger says, as they say, you don't have to defend a lion. You just have to open the door and let it out. Yeah, that's like a chilling sentence. It's absolutely true. That's what you have to do with me, folks. We got to find those big financial backers because you won't need to come defend me. You just got to open the door and let me out. If I got the money that Fuentes got, if I got the money that they wannabe political parties get from their fetish financiers, it would be over for the anti-whites. Over. And then you have their sick little demented pukes that follow them and in their groups, and they come over here and they're like, you're just doing this for the money. Yeah? Really? Leaders of your group giving out $10,000 bonuses and millionaire, and this is for the money? The great Cool Papa J Magic, who was here earlier, said, way to go, Kate. You have been out there on the front lines a lot lately, heroically, and I love to see it. I think I'm finally making an account with Twitter for the first time so I can join in. Great work, 07, Jason, champion of the West. I had a comment on a recent Tim Pool video promoting your channel that got around 600 likes. So I hope to see some new people coming around. God bless you, mate, and all the great heroes of this circle. Great stream. Well, of course, Cool Papa J Magic, thank you for that, but you've become one of the great heroes in this community. Hyperborean Dream says here, Go Free is genius because it is the only coherent and methodical approach toward white well-being. Nothing else works or is irrelevant at this point. So true. Based, epically said, real. Hyperborean Dream is on top of it. John Garrison says, hi, Jason. I found you through an ad on Gab last week. Just bought Go Free. I'm excited to have found your work. I'm on board. Well, many welcomes to you. I know you're already making it happen, John. Thank you, brother. Joseph says, just found and sub to your channel from Mark Dice. We need to stand together and fight this anti-whiteism. It's ridiculous. Amen, Joseph. And thank you. And thank you to everybody who is getting out into these different circles and spreading the good work that we're doing so that people, great heroes to be like Joseph, will be able to participate. Helios Abbott writes here, I just caught this. Excellent and valuable insight, Jason. We are all forced to confront these issues every day. I haven't been framing our narrative as effectively as I could. This is right on point. Thank you, Jason. Well, thank you, Helios Abbott. Magnificent testimonial, and for all the hard work that you're doing in service to white well-being. Everybody here is a doer. Nobody here just observes. Okay, what do we have here? Jubilation Media, the great lovely Porridge, says there is another type of gym user that is similar to the New Year's resolution guys, except they work out for about 3 hours, get in fantastic shape, then give up or get injured and just decide to be fat and bloated for the rest of their life. I think Porridge has been to a gym or two. He says, I think it is way more important to remain moderately strong and lean well into your 50s and beyond than to deadlift 200 kilograms in your peak and then let yourself go. And your strength and fitness should be geared toward enabling a fun and active life, in my opinion. I wholeheartedly agree with the great Porridge there. He always has brilliant things to say. He has more here to say as well. But we were also just talking about the New Year's resolution folks disappearing. Thankfully, they're going away. Go away. Go away. I followed one in, and he just rank of cigarette smoke. Could you imagine? You're like the hardcore, you're going to the gym, you got like the new bag and the new shirt and all of this kind of stuff, and you're like smoking up like a chimney. Lovely Porridge says here, if doom documenting worked, some of the best white advocates would be policemen who witness these things firsthand. Great point. So if doom documenting worked, it would be these folks who are seeing it firsthand, not just getting it secondhand from data that was collected that will be called into question. But instead, we find police to be some of the worst anti-whites, experiencing non-white lawlessness and being run out of ghettos, which were once safe, does not cause police to become white positive. Rather, they'll just go to the local state park and beat up a white teenager to claw back some dignity and feel as though they still have authority. Not to mention Rotherham, where police collaborated with pedophiles so that unspeakable horrors could continue against white children for decades. You can't treat cancer by showing the victim lots of pictures of cancer. Jason's method deals with a mentality that allows for all these anti-white things to continue. Jason's method deals with a mentality that allows for all these anti-white things to continue. Precisely. Despite the ADL having enormous influence over politicians, corporations, schooling, and media, they would never be so reckless as to say, quote, it's more important to hate white people than to defend Jews, close quote. So you know who he's talking about right there. A certain wannabe political party leader who said it was more important to hate Jews than to care for white people. Porridge goes on, the average person would reject that. Yet these guys, who have absolutely no power or influence, feel emboldened to say the reverse. The average person will reject that tenfold. These people are the greatest gift to the ADL and the ADL could ever hope for. Their slanderous lies about white people are manifested through these antagonist groups. Brilliantly put, brother. High-Speed Drifter chimes in. My neighbor was forced to take the vaccine in order to visit Europe. She must have been in good health because she was constantly going for walks. She died within a week of being in Europe from cardiac arrest. So this is actually Art Acrobats, which is with us tonight. Thank you for sharing that. What a tragic. Wow. Tragic loss. Henro says, I am not white, but I'm down for this. All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Johnny Johnson says, may I coin a new term? White guilting for profit, close quote. Which explains exactly why this anti-white bastard, or what this anti-white bastard is doing. Unfortunately, the incentive for pushing anti-whitism is huge among its beneficiaries. So as the non-white anti-white, beneficiaries, such as this non-white anti-white bastard, these anti-white narrative pushers follow a simple tactic. Mainly, quote, instill white guilt so whites can pay my bills, close quote. And pay them we have in trillions. Yes, sounds crazy, but trillions have been paid to non-white people from white guilted pockets. And as more of us try to put an end to our people being taken advantage of by anti-white non-whites, and the white guilted gravy train of free money slows down, anti-white non-whites who benefit from the victimization, white guilting of our people will start to panic and scream because they would hate to actually work hard for a living. And why would they, when they can trick whitey to work hard for them instead? No to white guilting for profit. Stop white guilting us / me for profit. Amen. Well written, brother. I appreciate that. Cool Papa J Magic, another message from him, says, Jason, the lexicon is really spreading. I've heard 3 or 4 shows I watch semi-regularly over the past week use anti-white when they have been using racism for the last years. Whoa, that's awesome. We're having more success, more testimonials of success for us here. It's really getting around. I also constantly hound them in their comments section to stop using that word and instead use Go Free Lexicon. So I'd like to think they read it and may have taken it to heart. They have, man. It is these efforts that is changing the entire game, that is changing the entire West and putting us into a place where we can recapture our destiny. Many times they don't even attach racism at the end, like we've heard so many other times. God bless you, man. Killing it out there. 07. Big 07 to Cool Papa J Magic, who played a role in changing the minds of these content creators. God bless you, man. We'll do a couple more and we'll see what you all are saying in the live chat. NWG Paradigm said, I think calling it guilt grifting is more apt term. Totally coined that. Nice. Guilt grifting. Well, we'd have to be white guilt grifting to make sure that people understand that it's about us. But yeah, white guilt grifting. Yeah. White guilt grifting. Let's see. Did anybody else tag me in here? Doesn't look like it. Are you all having... Oh, wait. Mestizo says... He says, I like watching mousetrap videos. I don't think... You know, the sad thing is if I set up a camera to watch the little bastards taking their last bite, I would probably have more live viewers. That's the sad truth. JK160 says, excited for Imminent Rain's album this month. Yeah, end of the month, folks. That album's coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Pacific, and it's going to be released on Imminent Rain's channel live, the song number 9, and all of the links for the album in toto. Very excited about it. It's totally epic, telling the story of Prometheus Rising in what he referred to as Promethean rock. So hard. I love it. He's really amazing. Like beyond comprehension, musical, amazing. Traveler says the return on investment is an entire civilization. Yeah, exactly. That is the return on that. Very well put, brother. Nicely said. Yeah, we get a functioning civilization. What happened? Where did the screen go? We have another lovely porridge. Trump wasn't only pandering to blacks, he was pandering to magatards, who you can hear ecstatically cheering when he claimed Africans built America. Because, quote, if Trump is anti-white, how can the liberals oppose him? Oh, yeah, this is like what's going through the mind of like your unfortunately too many white people out there. Like, if Trump's anti-white, how could liberals oppose him? That would prove they are the real racists. Checkmate. Perfectly written by Lovely Porridge. Yes, that's what goes through their mind, man. Exactly. That would prove that they're the real checkmate. We got them. We got them. But, he goes on, anti-whites like Lucas got the checkmate by saying, quote, even a total racist like Trump was forced to admit that Africans built America, close quote. Yeah, look at how easy that Lucas guy with a barely warm IQ is able to beat the typical conservative argument. I think there's a huge difference between Trump voters and Trump supporters. His voters wanted immigration controlled and American workers put first. They were prepared to vote for that. Loudmouth, because they thought he would, prepared to vote for that fat loudmouth Trump because they thought he would deliver. He didn't deliver, and many didn't vote a second time. His cheer squad, however, loved that Trump is dumb, loud, and obnoxious, and will support him regardless of his views or actions. They are the ones you will most likely see and correspond with on the internet. But I think they are a total waste of time. I think it's easier to bring over people who have not yet adopted fanatical worldviews, but are looking for answers. Very smart from Lovely Porridge. And he concludes with this. The Lucas guy reminds me a lot of Salty Cracker. He reads headlines and laughs hysterically as though that in itself debunks it. They would both read the headline, quote, white students banned from workshop. Salty Cracker would laugh and claim they've gone full woke and just proven that they are the real racists. Lucas would laugh and claim white people are fragile and will cry just because they weren't invited somewhere. Boy, Porridge is genius. Porridge, that is brilliant. That is so true. Very well written. Boris the Bulldog says at 3131 is a perfect example of a very cruel and vicious type of anti-whitism, the belittling and making fun of the victims of anti-whitism. I wonder if he will laugh at the victims of Waukesha. Well, unlike his kind, we don't have to play victims. Our victims have names and are in coffins, and it takes a very sick, twisted individual for belittling such a serious matter. He is truly a vicious anti-white POS, and the only reason he is not totally shut down by his viewers and anyone listening to his hateful video is because we live in an anti-white society that in general accepts and promotes anti-whitism. And any society that accepts hatred of one entire group of people is a sick society. And we will have to heal this society, and we have a lot of work to do. We have beautiful people here, folks. Beautiful people. We've got the best people. Masumik says, yes, it was in lovely Laguna Beach, and the anti-white black murderer shouted white privilege while he stabbed him. White privileges. Really? I didn't know that he had shouted that. How absolutely disgusting. Wow. Thank you for sharing that info on that horrible anti-white terrorist attack. on that doctor. Pear Lady says here, there's a rumor that Bob Lee was murdered because of the whole digital currency thing, because he had an alternative money paying system. Well, I would not put any credence in that. And the reason why is because there are tons of them. And because it's very easy to buy somebody out when you have all the money in the world, which is what the anti-white oligarchs have. There would be no need to kill this guy just because he has interest in a digital currency. But that is the exact kind of thing that you will find white people who will say, I don't see race, as the anti-white is bludgeoning them and saying it's because you're white. That's the kind of thing they'll want to traffic in, is that kind of claim, because it's devoid of the racial aspect. 100% guarantee you. So I would not doubt at all, Pear Lady, that you'll see that rumor pushed. And it'll be pushed not by anti-whites, but by white people who live in the anti-white narrative and who are afraid of being immoral by the standards of the anti-white morality, and will do anything to get away from the anti-white truth of the murder. I mean, I talked about several layers of how this happens as a consequence of anti-whiteism, and that nobody who stabs a white guy to death is magnanimously overlooking an entire lifetime. I mean, are you serious? I'm not you personally, Pear Lady, but I mean generally. Nobody is overlooking an entire lifetime of being taught how evil the white race is when they murder or rape or bludgeon a white person. It doesn't matter if the attacker is doing it, is white or non-white. They can't physically overlook it. They just simply can't. So why would it get pushed? It's going to be pushed by all of these big con organizers. What was I calling it? You got the Con Inc. So Big Con Inc. You've got the Big Con Inc. who are going to be pushing that. You've got, if they talk about it at all, and then you have all of the little white female content creator here, white male little content creator. I say little, but their channels will be much larger than mine. Their audiences will be much larger. And they'll sit around and they'll have some like cat in the background shaking dander off everywhere. And they'll maybe be petting a cat like spastically. And they'll say, it's because it was the currency, and the currency is crashing. And now he was going to create an alternative currency. And so that's why they had to, where, in what context? Does he make a city? Did he make a city with a globe around it that's invisible and no bombs or machine guns or armies can get through it? You goddamn people who are so stupid. Why do I have to live in a world where people are this dumb? Why? Worse yet, why can't they just accept when they encounter somebody who is so much more intelligent that he's probably got it right? I can't even begin. There's like, seriously, 20, 30 things went through my mind that disembroil and reveal how asinine such a claim is. Like, in reality. Now, it could be dealing with a cryptocurrency, his work in cryptocurrency could be something more along the lines of, well, he had a colleague that were 50-50, and the colleague decided to off him so he could have 100% for himself, or something like that. But no global anti-white oligarchs are thinking, well, we're about to be outdone by this Bob Lee guy, and if we only had a way to prevent him from doing this other than murder, like if we only had a way to prevent him from creating an invisible force field so that we couldn't just march in there with troops and just take away everything, so that we couldn't just go to the banks that he has to deal with and the electric company and everything else, so we just can't go to that and shut it all down to shut him down. There was only another way. Guess we're going to have to go send a homeless person to go stab him to death. I'm sure. That's what you could just wait for the crazy cat ladies. It was because he was making a currency, a cryptocurrency, and the U.S. dollar is falling, and this will be the cryptocurrency that will unseat the U.S. dollars, and then everybody will be free, and we'll all have bunnies and roses, and we'll dance through daisies. Okay, Marge. Okay, Marge. Just look, eat your porridge, stare out the window. Yeah, and the sad thing is, Pear Lady, you probably know this because if you are hearing this here and there, is that those kind of content creators, they have like 1.5 million followers. That's the sad reality. And please, everybody, when it comes to the money, I want you to tell me with your paper dollars how you're going to stop the bullets. They kill you. Nothing is going to crash unless they want it to. And then if they want it to, that means they're in total control of it. As long as they control the guns and the bullets and the etc., and the moral imperative is on their side. Escape says, for some of us, being self-aware. Thank you for actually bringing that to my attention, because I knew there was something sketchy going on. So I appreciate it, Pear Lady. For some of us, being self-aware of our victimization can cause painful frustration, and there is many of us. There are many of us that have lived with that frustration for a long time, as well as self-projecting it poorly, only resulting in further layers of pain. Jason truly does help peel back those layers of pain and teaches how to project positivity instead of anger and vengeance. Because the anti-whites will make you truly suffer if you resist their narratives openly. And for many, I think what he means by openly there is by playing their villain. Because I certainly am out there openly rejecting, and you certainly are out there openly doing it where it can be seen with the Go Free method. That means either to fight hate with hate or pretend to approve of victimization. Jason is living proof that there are other ways to fight back without losing your humanity or rights. It's sometimes harder not letting the anger dictate you. But when you fight back with positivity, you show our brothers and sisters that living by your own story is far more satisfying and free than living in their story, because living in their story will always bring you a tragic ending or another painful chapter. God bless Escape for that testimonial. Thank you so much, good brother. It's so true. A real hero. Let's see. Melody Dawn, one of our sisters, writes here. I missed the show. I'm an hour in, but I'll be listening, cooking an excellent Viking dinner. Thank you, Jason, for speaking truth. I need a Viking dinner. My stomach is eating my pancreas right now. Melody says, you are absolutely amazing. Much respect. And anti-whitism is absolutely real. God, please protect Jason at all costs for his safety, strength, and protection. I thank you so much for that, Melody. That's a beautiful thing. I really appreciate that. That's a wonderful testimonial as well. We have Trim Music. Term Music says, as a black man, what is happening to the white race isn't right. I respect you standing up for yourselves against these anti-white Satanist hell bent on destroying mankind. Thank you for that. I deeply appreciate that. You notice how, and just in the series of comments, we've had a couple of good non-white folk who show up to support and thereby stand with us against anti-whitism, which is completely like we're legitimate whether they stand with us or not. So that's different from your typical conservative type of person out there or following conservative leaders. And he's not showing up, or these non-white people who have shown up haven't shown up to say, well, as one nationalist of this non-white race or that non-white race, I salute you for serving your people as I serve my people. No, that's not happening here either. No, we're combating anti-whitism, and good people of other races show up to fight it with us. And we welcome every one of you. The great Franklin writes here, Mark Dice's video where he uses the lexicon 10 plus times, is now over 500,000 views. God bless you, Franklin, for telling us about that. All right, folks. We've done some good, covered some good ground here on these comments. And we have 92 of the best people on planet Earth that are with us. Let's scroll upward and see what you all are saying, and I will check to make sure I didn't miss any financial gifts, and we will hop out of here. All right, so we have Elaine says exactly. How many white people's last words were, but I'm not racist? Yeah, exactly. But I'm not racist. You're killing me, but I'm not. You know, it's not. I don't see color. Why are you killing me? I'm totally colorblind. Why are you killing me? First Last says, rabbit trails are for rabbits. Yes. Well said, brother. Sky's Cloud says, don't go hollow, Jason. As in not eating? I know. If that's what you meant. I need food. I need food. I need to eat. What should I eat? Geez, I don't have much. I have some like trail mix and water. And I got the other half of that steak, but I don't want to eat it tonight. I want to save it. Protein shake. Oh, boy. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. How am I going to survive? I don't have any. I can't even drown in alcohol, which I don't drink. But I don't have any to drown in. Well, happy Easter, everyone. It is. Is it Easter yet? Pretty much. Got another day. Lavish says exactly to something I was saying. Was it about the... was it about this idea that you're going to take over? He was just about to take over with his cryptocurrency. Was that it? And there would be nothing the anti-white oligarchs could do except hire a homeless guy to stab him in the chest. Or to make it look like a... Why would they even bother to make it look like a homeless guy? You know what's going to happen, though? The same people who are going to be making those claims, they're going to say, look at the front of that building. If you look here and there, you see 666. They're signaling everyone. Shut up. Just shut up. You know, I go all the way back to getting like the monthly newspapers, long before there was an internet. And those newspapers from the radical individualists that I call them now, that you're welcome to call them, they call themselves right-wing, the radical individualists. Because you have radical individualists, that's the right wing, and then you have radical anti-whites. That's the left wing, I guess. The radical individualists are anti-white lights, and the anti-white left are the anti-white heavies. And incidentally, plenty of them are quite heavy. But where were we going with this? Where were we going with it? 666, Masonic symbols, anything they can do. In those newspapers, it was all in those papers. The same sort of garbage would be snuck in, and it would be like, watch this, and it would be some like effeminate guy, always. And I guess that's where you still find them on the internet now. Some like effeminate guy, and he's going to talk to you all about all of the secret symbolism and all of this. And then you're going to have some kind of, very often, especially back in the day, I can still remember because it was, the papers were black and white. And I can remember these like big women wearing like a muumuu. And it was like, we call her like Sister Sabrina knows what the New World Order is about to do. And that was 30 years ago. Please stop being so stupid. And look at the fat Alex Jones. There's this great example of an effeminate male. Look at how many decas of millions he made. And of course there was some legit info in there. Of course he would stumble over some legit info. But everything he did was to direct white people away from identifying that we are being victimized because the ideology is anti-whitism, because the people are anti-white. Everything it was. Ken Folks says, Jason would be willing to debate some of these folks, ? Tag me as No White Guilt so I can see when you talking about me there. I will destroy anyone. I will absolutely eviscerate. I will tear their guts out from their insides. No one has a chance because I hold the moral high ground and they'll have to defend victimizing white people. So it's not really a debate. I'll argue. I will argue against an anti-white, and I will show how anti-white the anti-white is. Oh, and about like these people with all of the like the Masonic, the conspiracy people. Of course. I've humiliated them in person. I've been in person with these people. And one of the saddest things is when you're in person with the conspiracy theorists, they all look like they live in kitty litter boxes. What is the deal with that? Like, how does that happen? Seriously. Every time I've met these people at conferences or meetings, I know immediately. I'm like, oh, conspiracy person. They're going to be talking about Bilderberg. They're going to be talking about the New World Order. They're going to be talking about it was Agenda 2020. Was that what it was? And since it just like any other cult, now it's Agenda 2030. And then when we get there, it'll be Agenda 2040. Fuck's sake. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. Every time it's like they look like they live in kitty litter. And I'm like, you got a little bit of cat shit on your lapel. I can't even see you to talk to you because that is in the way. Oh, that's a corsage that you put there 17 years earlier and you never took it off. Well, okay. Now that makes sense too. Oh, you're producing the napkin from the wedding you went to like 17 years ago, just pulled out of your pocket. You're like, golly, look at it's been in here all this time. Really? Oh my God. Why is the world like this? Why? Why do we have to be surrounded with this nonsense? Where are we on time? Oh, we got to wrap it up. It's almost 3 hours. Linda says here, I would like it if you did a look at the upcoming referendum in Australia to give Aboriginal Australians a voice in Parliament. There is such a push to divide us. Yes, Linda, we did hear about that briefly, didn't we, folks? That it's not that they don't have a voice now, non-white people. And I don't know if I were in Australia, and I would counsel you, this term aboriginal dislocates you and divests you of the country of Australia. These people are not original to Australia. There was no Australia. And did they ever prove that humanity started in Australia? If not, then people traveled there, just like the Indians did in the Americas. They traveled here. They didn't start here. At least that is my opinion. That's actually what was taught in public school. But it's still my opinion. Check it out for yourself. So if these people could not have originated in Australia and they came from someplace else, then this term, they're the originals, is meant only to divest us, to divest our people of the country we made, which is Australia. They have a voice already in Australia, these non-white people, which they should be thanking white people for, that they have a voice in Western civilization. And now anti-whites want to add more layers of domination and power over the white race. They are instantiating what is already made real by the anti-white narrative, by the anti-white morality, which is that we are a subclass. We're less valuable. The white race are villains. And now they are just concretizing it into branches of government, which effectively, this is kind of like a new department of government. Remember, we had Mike was telling us about this. So yeah, maybe I'll take a look at that. It's really disgusting. But I would start off by saying, I mean, you could repeat everything I just said, but start off not using aboriginal anymore. Is there another neutral? I would just call them non-whites. I would just say, are they Asiatic non-whites, or what are they? Have they been referred to as anything else other than aboriginals? I would just have a neutral term for them. Aboriginal is a loaded term. It's a weaponized term. Did they call themselves aboriginals? I doubt it, right? So what did they call themselves? Did they even have a name for themselves? Call them by that name. You know, if they call themselves the Schwazi, then call them Schwazi, right? I mean, why take a word out of the English language that disempowers us, that anti-whites have given to these people? No anti-whites. No. You're not going to, I'm not going to obey you. Not going to obey you. Pear Lady says, you're correct, No White Guilt. Many people will deny the reason he was killed, anti-whitism. Yeah, because they're just plain wrong. But now you all are empowered with the information to prove that it was indeed anti-whitism. And then when you get into a conversation with somebody and they're like, no, it wasn't anti-whitism, it was about whatever, then you can say, what is it about white people being victimized that causes you to not want to notice that it's anti-white? What is going on there? Do you feel white guilt? Because if you feel white guilt, if you think it, like, do you believe it's immoral to object to white people being victimized on the basis of our race? I've done this to people before. It's great. You really just take whatever conversation they were trying to have and you turn it into this conversation, and then they're suddenly backpedaling like a movie in super fast reverse. Victorian Time says, it's a conspiracy to crash the currency, so buy gold from my sponsor. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered. I've always wondered about that. They're always like, gold is skyrocketing. You better give me. Wait, this is how it goes. And you can insert anything, any other currency or metal or whatever it is. It's like silver is skyrocketing. Your dollars are plummeting. So therefore, let's exchange my silver for your dollars. No. Let's not do that, actually. Let's not. Why do you want my dollars if they're going to be valueless? Why would you give away the silver if it's skyrocketing in wealth? Something doesn't sound right. I think it's the sound of the white average IQ crashing. That's the white IQ, the white average IQ. That's what it sounds like to me. Why is it like this? Oh, First Last has makes a great point about these people saying, I don't see race. Absolutely true. Great point, brother. He says it's villainy screeching. What they really mean is, quote, I don't see the white race. Yeah, and I don't care about them. If you don't see them, you don't care about them. Yes. Yes, I like that. You see, folks, we now have the keys. We now have the keys to change the world. NWG Paradigm says, longboats full of peeps coming. Longboats full of peeps coming. Should I be afraid? What exactly does that mean? All right. Yep, when they say, I don't see color, you can just retort, say, you mean you don't care about the white race? You mean you don't care about white people? If this were happening to black people, would you say, I'm not able to see their color? No, many of the white people out there who say, I don't see race when we're being attacked, they're the same ones who a couple decades ago were saying, let's put an end to black on black violence. Yeah. Just villainy signaling that as hard as they could. Let's put an end to black on black violence. Yeah. Back then, I used to be brutal. I was brutal. I would really go after those people. Anything on white violence? Do you care? Anybody on white violence? Any interest in that? No. Elaine, no, they did not find out who murdered him. Yeah, who knows? I'm sure like a Rothschild went out and was like on the street corner, hey, come here, junkie. Got a few dollars for you. We're having a lot of problem with this Bob Lee guy. Then that conspiracy theorist will say, well, no, it was a trained assassin that took him down. And they just wanted to make it look like it was a junkie. But then they did it in front of a building with 666 and Masonic symbols because they wanted everybody to know. Shut up, you psycho. Get back in your kitty litter. Yeah. I remember I said to, I had some times where I was kind of mean to some people because they were anti-white. They pissed me off just refusing to see the truth. And I just remembered there was one guy, God, he was gross. He was so gross. Conspiracy theorist guy I met in person. And there was like dandruff, and that can happen, but come on. And there were a bunch of things that were gross. And I said, well, at least you're going to be able to die. At least you're going to be able to use that suit in your casket. At least you'll be able to use that suit that you're wearing now. All right, what do we have here? We have, whoa, get out your raucous emojis. We hit the $20 minimum. 07s, please. 07s for Ace, who has shown up with a $20 financial gift late in this roll-in going free. Thank you so very much. And with those $20, she says, rest in peace, victims of anti-whitism. Absolutely. Yeah, rest in peace. And we remember Bob Lee. Thank you very much for that. We remember Bob Lee. And if you are somebody who is trying to financially gift me, you have accidentally requested. You've accidentally requested money, and so that's not exactly the same. You'll have to try again. You don't want to do the request. You want to do the send. I appreciate the thought, though. Thank you. You know who you are. All right. I think that's everybody from the Bob Lee platform. Maybe that's how we should remember it. Bob Lee platform. Over here. Oh, keep your raucous emojis going. Your 07s, please. We have another $20 minimum that we've hit with Dandy Westman, a great name. $20 financial gift. Thank you so very much. Writes, recently tweeted a story about an anti-white judge that gave anti-white burglars a light sentence and justified it by branding a 3-year-old victim with the scarlet R. Whoa, really? White children are growing up in a world where they'll be victimized with impunity on the basis of their race, thanks to the white erasure of our courts. God damn it. So true. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So Dandy, who are you on Twitter? Did you tag me? Recently tweeted a story about an anti-white judge that gave anti-white burglars a light sentence and justified it by branding a 3-year-old victim with the anti-white concept racist. White children are growing up in a world where they will be victimized with impunity on the basis of their race, thanks to the white erasure of our courts. So very exactly put perfectly. That's how it's supposed to be put. The courts are different now because they've been white erased. White people have no value in an anti-white system. And so you can kill us, you could stab us to death on the streets, you can rob us, you can maim us, etc. with impunity. Brilliantly put, Dandy Westman. Thank you for that. What a terrible. And there you had, I mean, it's just one crime right after another against our people. Western Inoculator says over here in the question widget, last night I heard little Nicky, exiguous Nicky say that I Hypocrite and his boys on stream with him were, quote, disrespectful to Bryson Gray? Are you serious? That is so funny to hear from someone like him. So, wait, let me read this again. Last night I heard little Nicky say that I Hypocrite and his boys on stream. I guess that means that because exiguous Nicky is not going to slander the bearded grandmother who has a drug and alcohol problem, right? So instead he was slandering I Hypocrite and what, his audience that followed him over as disrespectful to the anti-white Bryson Gray. And then he finishes up, that is so funny to hear from someone like him. Wow. Yeah, that's your great champ for America and Western kind in little Nicky. How dare you insult the anti-white? We proved he was anti-white. Totally revealed it. He's not a little anti-white. He's totally anti-white. He's grifting off of white senior citizens. That's all. He's getting himself money and sex from white people and applause, intellectual aggrandizement, pats on the back from white people by saying he agrees with this, that, or the other thing, that positions they hold. But when he came out and said that white people There had never been a genocide anywhere else but Rwanda. And he was going to tell us why it happened, and therefore it was some kind of caused by white people, because he was disclaiming that, I guess, that black people have ever done such a thing, and saying that white people have dominated the world, and for that we're supposed to feel white guilt. Every group of people sought to dominate every other group of people. That's how the world works. The only time, that's how the human animal works. If you want a different outcome, you need a different species, in my opinion. The only time people ever feign like total innocence of trying to set boundaries and etc. for their well-being is when they are totally at the mercy of other groups. And in this case with anti-whitism, because it is a tool that gets us to lower our guard so we can be victimized. So we proved that there's nothing white sympathetic at all about Bryson, the anti-white gray. He's not Bryson Gray, he's Bryson anti-white. And that's who they're defending. How sad. All right, remember, if you were over on Cash App and you were trying to financially gift me, you didn't financially gift me. You requested money. And that's a big difference. So you don't have to do anything about the request. But if you want to financially gift, you've got to send, not request. I thank you. All right. Well, it's been a wonderful Friday night with me, as it always is. As it always is. We have played until the wee hours of the morning. Here it is, 1 a.m. on the East Coast of the once great state of Virginia. And we'll be back for sure on Sunday for the gathering. It's going to be glorious. I hope you'll be here. We'll have fun. But until then, my friends, wait, do you follow any anti-whites on Twitter just to see what they're saying? Asks Pear Lady. I don't think so. I don't think I have any more. I may have in the past, but I don't think I don't know. I mean, if you find any on my Twitter, let me know. Thank you, NWG Paradigm. Yes, and with that, a big happy Easter to all of you, and a warm good night.